Let's go. Hello, everybody. Audio check from me. Glenn, audio check from you.
Audio check.
Keep talking.
Still talking. That's nothing.
I think you just are too quiet. Hold on, let me see which one you are on. Keep talking.
All right. Off to a start.
That one's mine. That one's that one.
Hey, everybody.
Keep talking.
If I just talk loud enough, it'll come through Jordan's mic.
This is true, but I'd rather. Okay, now keep talking.
Now I'm talking.
Yeah.
Oh, there you
we
go.
go. I think they could hear you before, but this is better. This is better. Oh boy. Oh, okay, good. I'm glad. Oh wait, audio's okay. Excellent, excellent. We get the wide cam too, because we got everybody come in
It's gonna be a party.
Yeah, we got all sorts of folks in the office. We got 45 viewers. Everybody, exciting, exciting. Oh, I'm sorry, Julia, you lost the music. Oh, okay, we gotta hide this. Did I copy everything over? I've got my little cheat sheet of all my notes.
This is the most plans I've seen in a while.
I practiced. I was working on this one. This is it, Fox. Are you excited? No, Crazy Bob. I thought about teasing it again, but I already did that once. I can do that again. So let's see. Let's close that down. Yes, save the note. Sure. Okay. So, okay, who here on the stream? I think I can do the desktop now, right? Wait, why is there a new update? Which one's this?
Oh,
this is the one that I did. I just didn't restart it. Okay. All right, let's switch over. Let's go. And we'll leave chat and webcam on for a little bit here. So we're live. We've got 4.0. Does anybody have like favorite? Oh, I'm supposed to not watch chat too.
Yeah, I got
Okay.
chat.
The plan is Glenn's on chat. He'll tell me what pops up. We got a whole bunch of stuff. I'm curious though. If anybody has like a favorite feature they know is coming in 4.0 that they want to see? Let me know.
Someone says there's a bit of echo on the mic.
There might be because there's two mics, so I don't know if there's a good way to fix that. We can actually switch to the top mic when it's just the two of us if we wanted.
That might be better.
Oh, there's also that one back there. That one I
Oh,
can
that's true.
definitely mute. No echo.
Okay, some people say no echo. All right.
All right, okay, good. Projects. Yes.
Projects are a thing.
Just for Duncan, RISC-64. Look, that might be on the list here. I'm just saying. I think third eye, I think you have good hearing. I think there is a little bit of echo because we do have.
I mean,
both
there might
mics.
be. It's kind of an enclosed like square space.
Oh, also two streams. That'll do it too.
Yeah, we do.
Sidekick. Okay,
There
all
might
right,
be
all
some
right.
sidekick. There
There-
might be some other sidekicks.
There's lots of good stuff coming. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to announce is, I think I've mentioned this before, but the demo, the Binary Ninja demo, is going to be released as Binary Ninja free. So we're actually going to have a true free Binja. It's going to have, for example, still no plugins, but you can now save and load databases. There's no timeout. It's going to get 4 API threads, so you get a little bit more performance out of it. And I forget exactly which architectures we are or aren't including. So that's going to be exciting for some people. I mean, everybody here, hopefully you guys are already Binja users, in which case that doesn't do you much good, right? But for people who haven't tried it yet, hopefully that helps them out.
Yeah.
The one thing that's a little bit different about it is that free version will not have all the ILs. It's just going to have high-level IL, sudo C, and decompilation. So,
I mean, that makes sense, right? If you're not scripting it.
right, you don't have the API. The ILs aren't as important.
Yeah. And
so
you know, I gotta have some feature upgrades.
something to make it worthwhile to buy. Speaking of feature upgrades, let's go. Okay, so the first one on my list, and you'll notice I've got.
Oh man.
Oh, there's some hints there.
Giving it all away right in the file tree.
Just a couple.
Giving it all away in the recents file list.
So actually, I wanted to do enterprise dev. You'll see a bunch of file names. That's fine. I guess you'll see it coming. I'm not trying to actually make it a secret. But the first one we're going to talk about is new architectures. So we have 2 new architectures coming to Binja. One will be in all versions, and then the other one is only going to be in it's like a separate paid add-on. So it's the first time we're trying this. We'll see how that goes. But as some of you already saw, we've got RISC-V support. So 32-bit and 64-bit RISC-V. So I think like this one, for example, is a 32-bit RISC-V binary. This is on dev right now. So like the first half of the stream is just going to be on things that is only are already on dev, right? So this is you could try this as well right now, right? So we've already got support for, although let's see, there's maybe a jump table that needs some fixing up. So this is in the libc too, you can see. So there's a memset. So yeah, this is a pretty good test case because this is literally statically compiled binary. Yeah, but I think if you just go to main, I'll get this one briefly. This was actually, I pulled this one from the RISC-V, the open source Binary Ninja RISC. Well, this will also be open source, I think. I don't remember. Have we? Oh, we did. No, I think we did.
This is where we find out.
I know, right? Like we actually go look at our own repo. I'm pretty sure Arch RISC-V. Let's see. Well, it's not that.
Nice.
Oh no, I know it's in the API repo itself. Binary Ninja API.
Blaze of Glory subscribed to the channel.
And then, yeah, exactly. So this is open source. It's already in the repo, so you can grab it.
And it's written in Rust.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a is it the first?
I think it's
public?
the first public Rust architecture.
That we've written. Yeah.
Certainly the first party Rust
the first party one. I think I know a couple of people who've definitely worked on them, and there are other ones out there.
Yep.
But it's the first one that we've released, so that's kind of cool. The RISC-V plugin there. I did, yeah, and just for Dunk, I don't know if Duncan's on the stream, but it does support RISC-V 64-bit as well. I happened to come across a sample and try it, and I got accused of some
it's entertaining.
maliciousness. But I was just showing off that we're proud of our new RISC-V support, and it's not flawless. Like you'll definitely see, there's these warnings and errors here are either like unlifted instructions or some other thing where we think there might be a problem with analysis that. Like there's
you get the disassembly and you get a decompilation with it. Like that's pretty good.
Yep. So we could, all the disassembly and decompilations are here. Again, architecture itself is open source, so
yeah,
that's nice as well. Again, especially if you're doing Rust stuff. So you'll also notice another little change here on the sidebar. This view has been around for actually several releases now, but it was off by default, and so this is now on by default. It's our new symbol table view, which has all these columns, and you can reorder. You can change the columns and so a couple other things that it supports. Different types of variables you can do, all sorts of other stuff there too. That's now much faster, much more performant. Fixed up a lot of stuff there, so yeah, that's exciting. Let's see. So RISC-V, 64-bit, 32-bit, Nanomips. Nanomips is our other architecture. Now this one, just for context here, I've actually just installed this one, Binary Ninja plugins. So you can see I literally just put the plugin in here. So that one is only a native module right now. And Nanomips has been in progress for a while. We've got a couple folks already in the beta program checking it out. So let's go grab. Yeah, so here's like a libc, Nanomips libc, for example. So if this is interesting, I know some people are definitely interested in Nanomips. There you go. We've got a Nanomips decompiler and disassembler. And like, all of our architectures, these just open right up because they were ELF files. And so they just automatically recognize them and add it. But obviously if you're doing more firmware and kind of embedded things for those, you could just specify it. You'd open the file, specify open with options, and you can change the architecture and set it there. So Nanomips just shows up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to go pretty quick here because we got
first
we got
tell
any
them
questions
about the availability of Nanomips.
Oh right, yeah. So let's clarify. RISC-V is on every version of Ninja. I don't know that it's going to be in the free one necessarily. Like I said, I forget exactly which architectures are coming on that. But personal, commercial, enterprise, everybody gets RISC-V. Nanomips is right now just a paid add-on, and so it's really expected for businesses. So it's like a $5,000 purchase. Maybe eventually, after a couple of years, if we actually make our money back in terms of how much effort we put into developing it, then we'll ship it to everybody. But for now, I'm actually excited that we're kind of like adding a couple features that are only in like higher tiers or separate price
Yeah.
points, just because it's kind of nice that we can keep the price point low, and then some things, if it makes sense, we can put it up there. Obviously, I
Yeah.
also like it because
And I mean, we're still
people.
continuing to add on features to the base tier product.
Absolutely, yeah,
So it's not like it's all being left behind.
yep. And because again, it's even intentional that we have not only Nanomips but a RISC-V architecture in the same release, right? So we're releasing both architectures in the same one, just to show that like no, we're not giving up on releasing architectures. We think everyone
Certainly
will
not
benefit
giving
from.
up on open source.
Yeah, and open sourcing it too, right? Exactly, because RISC-V is also another open source one. So the next one, you did this one actually. So the next one on my list.
We're doing mine next.
Yeah, we're gonna do the type browser. So if you've been using dev, again, this one's on dev right now. Although
It's off by default until what?
yesterday, yeah, really recently. Yeah. So you may or may not have seen it, depending on if you kind of got the word, or maybe still new to you. But if you actually, let me bring up an old
You got old
old
stable
Binja.
on
Let's
there?
go grab a 3.5. We're gonna want that for some of the other comparisons too. Also, just for I think it's a useful point of comparison. This box that I'm running all the demos on right now is a little Mac Mini with 8 gig of RAM. So I think that it's definitely under spec for what we recommend for a lot of Binja stuff.
Mac Minis are really good though.
But I mean, the CPU is nice, yeah. So we'll take that. So here's the old type viewer, right? You would get just all the types, almost like a header file, and you could expand and contract.
And every time you open up a Windows file, you get Win32 error, which takes up like 500 lines, and it's just like,
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
you could search for some things.
That's a Linux binary, but yeah.
But I know,
Yeah.
just like in general, like you could filter it, but it was
And if you opened up something like Factorio, like it would just hang forever.
anything with a PDB.
Yeah,
say goodnight, Grace. Yeah, it took a while. So the new one is meant to be just a little bit easier to use because you have like kind of a summary. Oh, tell me what the
Yeah.
the icons are.
Oh, I think we did this bit on stream last time.
Did we?
Yeah,
showed
yeah.
off before.
The icons represent like which class of like type. How do you use class and type in the same word?
It's
Type class?
yeah.
Where the
So
Haskell
S is a
enthusiast.
structure, U is a union, E is an enum, and
Yep,
T is just a type.
like type.
Okay. Like a
There's
base
also C for class,
type. Okay.
but if you're looking at like a libc, you're not going to have any
Yeah.
of that.
Well, there's no C++ in libc.
God, I hope not.
That would be terrible.
But yeah, you should click on some.
Yeah, so if we pull up any of these types, you'll see there's like a separate view, all right, where we actually get like the details down below.
Yep.
And you can still like hit Y, right, which
You
was
can still
brings
hit
up
Y,
this-
you can still do all the, and like you can like everything you could have done in the old types view will now work in the little type editor inside of this type
Yeah,
view. And you can even select more than one at a time.
there
if you
wasn't
want.
line numbers before though, was there? That one looks new.
Well,
No,
No.
line numbers are new. See?
I mean, that's the structure. Those are the offsets. The enums also don't have
that's
line numbers.
True. Was there? Oh, there was. That's
Yeah.
right. There was. They're not line numbers. They're offsets. They're just. It's smarter about how many. It doesn't hard code the.
Yeah. Well, the
the
old
number
one,
of
it would
them.
pick whatever your biggest
The
structure
largest
is.
one. Yeah.
So if you have like a structure
Oh,
that
well,
has
that
like
makes sense.
100,000
Because it was
bytes,
one big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had to. Yeah, because it was one big view. It couldn't like have different kind of like gutter width there. Whereas with this, it's doing the same thing. It's just you're only seeing one at a time.
you should try
Although,
selecting a couple. Yeah,
You're
look
not
at
always
that.
doing one at a time. Yeah.
You can still do multiple at a time if that's their kind of work.
If you like the old one, just hit Command A or Control A, and
Yeah.
there you go. It's just like before. So you can still get that kind of behavior.
What I usually like to do is if I'm working on like just like a set of code, you can be like, oh, I need these 3 types, and just keep those 3 types open like the whole time.
Oh, yeah, because you can like
Yeah.
Command click or Control click,
Yeah, you can individually select it.
and then just have it shrink the top, and like
Yeah.
you've just got your types that.
And
you
it also
want.
works in a full width pane.
So if we can go over here to the type browser, yep.
Yep.
And actually, this is also nice. It shows
You
off
get
the
the side-by-side
layout.
view,
Yeah,
yep.
because that makes way more sense for this layout. So if you really have a bunch of types or some big types,
Yep.
you want to choose them. There you go, and then do your RE over here. Yep. So type browser, I think that goes well with some other things
Yeah.
that.
I was gonna say there's a couple other things it does,
Oh
but
yeah, tell me what other things it's got.
it shows type libraries.
Oh right.
You're in Nanomips. I don't know if we have any type libraries for that, but
No.
if you pick like a random like
Let me see.
Windows binary on there somewhere, oh man, I should have found some random Windows binaries.
I think I should have some of those flare-on ones were Windows
I mean, that's
binaries.
an exe, so that probably works.
Yeah. We'll go try one of these.
Yep. So now you can see all of your type libraries that
Yeah.
you've imported and all the types that are
From each of
available
those.
from each of them, and you can even see what's in them.
And you can
You can
import a new
import the
one,
types
yeah,
directly.
or import the type from there into my binary view,
Yep.
right? Nice. Because I can't directly
I
edit any of
can't
these
directly
types.
edit them.
Yeah, but
And if you
I
use
import
them,
it,
then yeah.
just import it and then make whatever changes I want to it in my.
Yep.
Very nice. And then I have it on the list for later, but there's some
And there's
other
more stuff in there.
other things that it will do too. Any questions?
But yeah, see what chat says. Will the type integration become any better? Questions about structures.
I could use some more
Not-
clarification.
Yeah, you know, that's kind of my opinion too.
Yeah, so type integration.
Like type libraries, I think.
So there are some other. So
I guess what he means.
yeah, go ahead and clarify that. But also,
Yeah.
when we later in the stream, we might get to some other things that will.
There's more stuff with
clarify
types happening.
that. Yeah. Also, I'm turning off our video here. Wanna get full
Yep.
screen glorious capture. Okay. So like I said,
Is
that's
there going to be a native module package manager support?
so the for like native plugins in Binary
Yeah.
Ninja. The short explanation is no, not coming in 4.0. We did actually have a design discussion yesterday on some things that Kyle's working on for the plugin manager that will include a little bit better support for native plugins.
So we're working on it.
But yeah, so it's in progress, but it's not going to be, and that's just dealing with the infrastructure and the native plugins is trouble.
It's
a lot of
it's a
work.
difficult challenge.
Yep.
And someone else says, did Rust make it easier to implement semantics for the new architecture? Technically, you're not Rusty, but I think we could probably say for him, he did a lot of work on that.
Well, so the first version of that plugin's
Yeah.
actually been around for a long time. It was written as a proof of concept for the API
Right.
years ago and just never really finished. It was just kind of a very early prototype. So Rusty
It's true.
finished it. But I have heard
Started by Snyder.
yeah, and I
finished
have
by
heard that there
Rusty.
are language features of Rust
Yeah.
that in particular make it a better platform for doing architectures.
A lot of the boilerplate code is probably way better.
Yeah, there's a bunch of situations where like, you're doing parsing of the same parameters or
Yeah.
or
I'm really excited to
decomposing
see
things.
all the like the medium level and high level IL stuff if we can get that in there or if...
that's already on dev actually. So that's actually a good
Yeah, I'm segueing.
Oh, is that did I didn't have that one actually on the list, but yeah, like
It was on your extra list.
I saw that was on the bonus list.
Yeah.
But yeah, another good point is that we actually that was a pull request too.
It was a pull request.
So if you check out the closed pull requests, you can see actually there's
one for high level IL
is
too.
waiting to be open, but you can see adding MLIL to Rust. So
Yeah.
the Rust APIs continue to get fleshed out. So MLIL is making it in 4.0. High level IL, I don't know. I'm not sure what the current
Yeah.
timeline is on that. Have you noticed our little Binja face is blue?
Huh.
I haven't noticed this before.
Wonder if that's a Safari thing.
Yeah, I feel like it might be because
Joe Rosner says Rust macros made the MSP 430 architecture much easier.
yes, yeah, Joe's one of
bet.
the people who's worked on a Rust architecture.
Yeah. And like that's the end goal with all this stuff is to make implementing plugins easier to do so that more people can do it.
And higher quality, faster.
Higher
Like,
quality,
Python's
faster.
easy to write.
A lot
but
easier to like write, not make mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be, C++ is, you can write C++ that's just as good as any Rust. The difference is
Yeah.
if the Rust compiles, you have a
You-
little more assurance
it's
of
like-
the quality than.
You can write C++ that's as good as Rust. Like
Well, I can't, but it is physically. Yeah, there are people who can. We should say. Maybe I'm
theoretically
one of
it's
them,
possible. The hypothetical you.
but yeah. So okay, next up we've got. Oh, also, I think I already saw somebody mention it earlier, but there's some subtle UI changes here that have happened. So if I actually switch back to 3.5, just kind of alt tab a little bit. You'll notice these the tab bar up top is different. These icons are a little more flush.
You can actually see what the arrows are now.
Let's make a few more tabs here just to like show how much more distinct. Like there was tabs before, but they were all kind of the same color. It didn't really stand out. So it's just a lot more clear which one's focused, which is nice there.
That's nice.
You've actually got the new tab, the plus over here to make a new one, whereas before you had to just kind of know
Yeah, you have
you
to
could
know
you could hit the
or
hotkey
use the
or
menu or
yeah. So you've got a little more, very browser-like. In fact, very Firefox-like specifically. Apparently, like the
It does
design
remind me of
these-
Firefox.
Yeah,
Right, because it's got the tabs and like the blobs or whatever.
right. The fact that there's really not anything distinguishing these as much over here is something we've been kind of debating and discussing, and there may be
There's
some
lots of talk happening
tweaks
about
to it. Yep. So that's one change that's already on dev.
We got more UI changes.
Oh yeah. Lots of UI
I'm giving you
changes.
all the segues here.
Lots of UI changes. Although I think the main one that is
The
in
icons are
dev.
slightly flatter.
Yeah, actually, the icons are about to change even more than that.
Oh yeah,
That's going to come later. The other big thing is the components. This new UI supports components, right? So we've showed this off several times.
Yep.
Oh, you know what? Hey, I did a thing.
what'd you do?
Watch this. Let me select some components.
All right,
I have to find some good ones.
I get all those file functions.
Is there a bunch of ones with? See, it gotta have the right. I say that before I look.
You
at
got half a
anything
plan.
that's named. All right, so let's make a component with these things in it, right?
Sure.
So new folder with selection.
Ooh.
It's named smart. So yeah,
Does
that
it
was
like
a
pull
little-
out the first couple of letters?
It will match the longest common substring basically. It does a
That's
little
pretty
bit of filtering
convenient.
and cleaning up. So especially actually if you have like a C++ thing with a bunch of classes,
Yeah, if you
that-
got lots of
that's what's
namespaces
really
and colons.
nice. Yeah, exactly.
That'd be pretty
So,
good.
I mean, it's minor, but it saves you a thing. And
I mean, it's the little things.
I did it, so I feel
That's
proud
nice.
of that. Actually, again, thank you to I forget who it was in Slack that mentioned this, because this is the kind of thing where somebody just mentioned it offhand, like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that would take like 30 minutes to go and throw that in, and it takes 5 minutes to write, and then like 20 minutes to test and make sure you thought of the edge cases. And the nice is you can still change it to something else if you want. It's just that the default name now, so it comes up with smarter defaults. But you notice if I do like these,
Will it do just like S?
it will not, right? There's a minimum. I think it's 3 characters.
Okay.
Just because I feel like
I know that seems.
S
Yeah.
is, I don't know.
You just call it
could
S,
change
that doesn't
but
seem-
Yeah, as useful. So
I'm just thinking, have you ever seen what it looks like in Ghidra when you have like sub_1 and then
Yes.
1.1
yeah,
1?
yeah,
like,
it's
yeah.
not very helpful, right? When you take a meaningless name and make it another meaningless name.
Yeah.
So that's yeah. Components they've always been there in the API, but now they're
Oh, we
they're
have one
visible by
question about
default.
this. Do type libraries know about what header defines them, and would it be difficult to build components grouping by the header? That's an interesting question. So type libraries do have a list of all the functions like contained in the library. It's not split out by header, but you could probably like, oh, we know these are imported from this library,
Mhm.
make a component for
Yeah.
that. That would be pretty
That's
easy
actually
to
a
do.
really good idea. In fact, one thing I missed, early beta versions of components, some of you may remember, had like some scripts. It was a little, I can't decide if it was super elegant or super janky. Maybe a little bit of
I remember you'd like hit the menu item and it would paste some code in the
yeah,
console.
it would literally just type code in your
Yeah.
Python console, so you'd hit the menu there.
I assume the shipping version is not going to do
No,
that.
it does. It's already gone. It's been gone for a while.
Okay, but you can make like a snippet to do that, or
right.
you can make your own plugins to make.
and I did migrate, in
components.
fact, both of those 2 snippets. So if you search for the snippets plugin,
Yep.
I don't have snippets installed. I should do that. And yeah, you'll find the snippets in there, so you can still do that. But I'm trying to remember if snippets did C++. It actually did a specific thing just for
Yeah.
C++ classes. It would do.
I think it was using like the
componentize
name
those.
splitting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know I had a longer version of it. I'm not sure if you ever.
I don't remember which one
Posted
is in snippets.
There's a couple
yeah.
of versions of this floating around.
Yeah, but I like the idea a lot of actually component by library, basically.
That
Like,
is a very good idea.
it's a great idea. Yeah, find me all of the
Like everything
the
from kernel
functions that's
32.
imported, yeah, from each library and make a component. Like that should honestly just kind of be a default thing. I feel like throwing all these imports matching by library.
Yep.
That feels like a great idea. Yeah, good suggestion.
All right, we got one more question.
Yeah.
Is with the API, can we create plugins that manipulate microcode generation? Which I assume they mean like IL generation.
Yeah, in our case, it's LLIL or
Yeah.
MLIL or.
And the answer to that is like, yes, we got workflows.
Yeah, we do. So it's here there be dragons. In other words, it's like just it can be difficult. It's not super easy necessarily to just arbitrarily rewrite that stuff and have it still work with the way analysis is. But it's absolutely doable. In fact, there's plugins already.
There are certainly
that do
ones
that.
out there. I know is the Objective-C still
Uh-huh.
a plugin? Yep.
Let's see if you can hear the kids in the background of the office. We
How
should
good is the
we should see if our
noise canceling on the
special
mics?
visitor wants to come by too.
So
We have a special visitor coming by at some point. Be a good surprise.
workflow is probably the name of the file you want.
I think this is the one, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the Objective-C plugin that we ship,
Yep.
which is originally written by John, who was one of our interns for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a bunch of different stuff to try to like enhance. Oh, we're getting the door shut.
Prepare to get warm. It'll be quieter, but it'll be warm.
Oh boy. So I think workflow CPP
Yeah,
is
that's right. That would've
probably
been
the
the
place
one.
you want to
Yeah,
go.
Good call. Good call. Yeah, so I haven't actually looked as well, but it does. It creates a custom workflow that will rewrite.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah, so it's getting the parameters,
Yeah, basically what you can do
and
is
then here, right here,
yeah,
change the definition of the expression. So it's replacing, it's literally modifying that IL directly
yeah.
and replacing it, and then kind of putting it back into
You
place.
can slot functions into the like analysis workflow basically. So there's a whole bunch of different stages, and you can say, hey, after this stage, please run my function, and then your function can like get a reference to the current IL, do some stuff to it, and then like send it back.
Put it back. There's also a couple other examples on.
I know we have like the inliner one as
Yep.
well in the
Yeah, so if
the
you go to the
API.
API repo, and then
I
you
think
go
it's under
under
examples
Yeah,
and then workflows.
inliner and the tail call. There's another one that modifies tail
Yeah.
call analysis. I think that one doesn't actually do anything. The inliner is actually quite useful. In fact, although it actually kind of got replaced with function inlining
We
as a
kind
first
of
class feature.
did
Yeah.
it first class, but
So now if you select a function, you can literally be like, oh, this function just inline. I want to see
Yeah.
the call there. Although this is looks like missing libc libraries
it's
that would
doing a bunch of stuff.
detect
But
it.
you could, it's under function properties.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just be like, please inline this thing.
Yep. And then anywhere it's used, it will replace it with the actual definition.
So if we redo analysis in this whole function, we'd have to find it again, but it will just
Yeah.
replace it with that call. So we
Cool.
can hit the, where is it?
Would you
Here? There we go.
consider? Oh yeah, no. I got one more question. Now.
Yes.
Would
no
you
question.
consider integrating AI code comments into the decompilation output?
AI code comments?
These peop-
That's such a good idea.
Oh man, is this a segue?
That's great. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. One more thing. Okay, so RISC-V, Nanomips, site browser,
Yes.
components, the UI stuff. Let's do.
What else
Actually,
we
I
got?
was in the wrong one. I was in the old build. I better close it down before I forget that I'm not on the latest.
You have
dev.
you have 3 of them open already.
Only 3. I'll have more before I'm done. We'll have more. I'll try to keep them straight though. The next one is going to be, actually, ironically, I want now
You want the old version
the old
now?
one, but I didn't want it on enterprise, so we're going to do enterprise. 3.4, 3. Is there a 3.5?
3.5 is the current
3.5
release.
is the one I want. The current stable
Yeah.
enterprise is 3.5. So we're going to pull that one up, and we're going to open up door side demo area. So this is the old view. So this is you actually may be able to explain this better than I can. I know there's some
Waiting to see what I'm
calling
explaining.
calling convention.
Oh, is this the float
improvements.
stuff?
Yeah, that's about as much as I know about it. So I don't know
All
if
right.
you have a good explanation. I mean, well, okay.
I mean, you can just look at
You
them
can-
and see, right?
You can tell it's clearly gotten better.
So, yeah, the floating point calling conventions have been fixed significantly.
Yeah,
Rusty spent what, like 2 or 3 months on this?
it was a good amount.
It
of
was a
time.
lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically the gist is like floating point uses different registers to return, it uses different registers for arguments, and trying to figure out which ones are actually used in a function is a very tricky problem.
Mm-hmm.
And previously we did not do very well. We only really considered integer arguments,
Yeah.
and floating point
Sort of like
came up.
a heuristic for identifying. And then the problem is we'd be like, oh, well, since we don't know, every
Yeah, well,
floating
we had
point
a thing
register
where we're
might be an
like,
argument. And,
We see
yeah.
this register is used, we don't really know what for, so might as well just like slap it in the list.
Yeah.
But now it actually understands what that means.
Yeah.
If you switch to like, I think disassembly. So like the incoming register XMM0 there, if you see the third instruction, right?
Yeah, right there. Where
Yeah.
it's used before it's ever written to, right? So you know that's a parameter of some sort.
Yeah.
And it used to be, we would.
And it used to say ZMM0 because that's the full width
Right.
version, and it doesn't understand that like we're
How it-
using the specific part of it.
Yeah.
This is a rather simple example, but like in more complicated code using a lot of floating point, it is like really nice.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing is if you have integer arguments and floating point arguments, if you use both the first integer register and the first floating point register, or sometimes I think Windows, it'll use the first integer register, then the second floating point register, and then you're like, wait, what happened to the first one?
no parameter for you.
There's a whole bunch of like specifics that make it really kind of tricky, and it's just way better now.
Yeah. So that was just a really nice. I know several people who were like, "Oh, thank goodness, I deal with floating point a lot." That got significantly better.
There's a decent amount of whiteboarding involved with this one.
Yeah. All right, so let's go make sure I'm on the. All right, and we close down
Get the right
old one
binjas.
before I forget. All right, we got the latest
We
binja.
gotta make it have like a different color icon.
Let's actually.
I'm putting that on my short list.
Let me see here. For 4.0,
No,
change the icon. Actually, wasn't there?
no,
There was proposals for a new icon.
there was.
Actually, at one point, I don't know what happened to that. I don't think we.
I think our icon guy is currently busy making as many icons as possible.
There are there's some other we have need for icons for some other stuff. This is another one. We'll see this view. There is a merge variable UI that's
You're merging a variable with an expression, but yes, okay.
is this, let's see.
Find something where something is assigned to something
Yeah,
else.
like this. It's the same here. The same
Yeah.
variable up here, right? So it's the equals hotkey. And there's actually a plus one. So plus says merge these two things. Like this is an assignment. I want these to not be split into two different variables. Like just make them the same one and pick one of the names. I think it's the first one that gets default to do. And then equals says no. Actually, I want to choose which variable. I even took a second there because it's like there's a lot of possible variables. What's changed is you can search it, which in this case is again super helpful if you have a bunch
The
of.
search is really nice.
And two, it's going to sort them and sort of like recommended or like possible ones or like probably you don't want this.
Yeah, like maybe they use the same stack slot, but they're like
But we're
weird
pretty
different
sure
parts of the
they're,
function.
yeah, they're not the same. It's considered an unsound merge, and so we differentiate and show you both of them. So that UI just got a little tweak there. It's a nice quality of life improvement. What else do we got? Oh, right. The last one on dev before we start looking into some of the test branches. And the test branches are the ones you probably most
Those
of
are going to
seen.
be the
Yeah, because those have only
all the
been
new content.
internal. So this you could have seen a lot of stuff. This is going to be
I just love how you have Crazy Bomb just chilling in the list there.
just waiting.
It's just waiting.
Just waiting. Just trolling Fox. This is. Oh, you know what? I do need the old Enterprise.
You do need the old
I
one?
do. I gotta show the before.
Oh
and
yeah, you
after.
gotta get it before and then
Yeah.
after.
This is the last one though.
You gotta actually pick it.
No, I have to enter on it. So this one again, pretty huge change for people who are doing anything with kernel decompilation, like driver entry here. Let's just look side by side here at these two functions.
Wow, it's like the types are there.
It's almost like we know about type information, and so we see like
We got
parameter
the names.
We have
Yeah.
enums, permission enums.
Ooh, what's that enum? Oh wow, it actually has the words.
Adds insufficient resources.
That's nice.
All of the So Windows kernel stuff just got super good.
You want to pop open the types list?
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it now.
You can see what all the types are.
So we can see,
Yeah, so there are types now.
and there's quite a lot.
It's quite a few.
And I will say too, this is also another good example just from performance. You can see
Yeah.
it's pretty.
You can see them all, and you can search for them, and it's fast, and you don't get drowned out by Win32 error.
Excellent. Okay. Last of those. Now we're going to move over to, I don't think we save any of these. We're going to move over to test builds. See, this is where I have to leak what
People are still pushing to dev.
doing now. Are they
Right?
doing new builds right now?
Yeah, right now, right in the middle of this.
What are people working for? They should be celebrating.
It's
Eating
Friday.
Pizza or something, yeah. All right, so let's, where did there it is.
Can we search fields in large structures? Yes, you can.
Absolutely. That's a good question.
It's a good thing you've already quit, so you can't demonstrate.
I can go back. Yeah, check for other questions. What else?
Yep,
what else
I'm
do we
looking.
miss?
Can you bitmask the enum types?
It will automatically.
Yeah, like it.
Oh
pulls,
yeah, it
if
does.
the enum has like bits in like bitmask type fields, it will
do
pull it out
or
and it will
show
show
them
you.
all. Yeah, it will
Yeah.
automatically do that. I have seen
I'm
that
searching
before.
for structure fields.
So here, for example, for example, if you wanted to search for ace count,
Yeah,
right?
you might have
Okay.
to set the search type.
Yeah. So by default, you're
Because for
searching.
performance reasons, it
Yeah.
usually just searches by name, but if you go to the search menu, you can pick,
Member names.
yeah,
So ace type,
I think you said ace count.
ace count.
Ace
There's
type
apparently
is
an ace
also,
type
yeah,
too. There we go. Yeah.
yeah.
So yes, you can search that as well.
And
Although
you can
again,
do full definition too if you want to like copy a string of text out of one of
oh
the structures and search for it.
yeah,
But that has to turn them all into text so it can search it, so it's a little slow.
much slower to just search
Yeah.
the names themselves. Makes sense.
But it's an option.
Yep. So and like I said, yeah, it's good that you pointed that out. The default will just search
Yes.
the things you see here essentially. But if you want to also search the member names or an exact textual representation, you can do that there.
Yeah,
Cool.
Kyle is closing all of these issues.
Oh,
Look at him go.
what's the mad lad doing now?
Right? He's celebrating and closing issues at the same time.
What is? Well, I guess
That's
yeah.
what he said in chat.
He's not in the office, so
Yeah.
he can't. Although I think they were gonna get pizza. I don't know if they've ordered it yet, but I think that's.
They better not get the pizza without us.
I already put. You might want to message Peter and tell him what your preference is because I put my order in before we started.
Oh no.
Yeah, make sure you don't get skipped up on the pizza. All right, so here are the things that are coming. If I can make Mac wider. All right, so let's start with the sidebar. I think a lot of people don't even know this is coming because we
This
hadn't-
just kind of came out of left
yeah,
field.
this was a relatively last minute, just like last month basically. It wasn't like planned a while before. Something we've kind of talked on and off. And there's still some work before you see it on dev, but it's made really good progress. The rule is for anything to be on this stream and to be announced officially, it has to be demoable, and we have to be pretty confident that we're going to land it on dev and then obviously into the stable. So we expect this for 4.0. You'll notice right off the bat.
I see some stuff on both sides of the screen.
Yeah, there's a lot to
Ooh,
change.
those icons are slightly smaller.
Icons got a little smaller.
And I see a horizontal line.
There's a line here. There's some icons.
Ooh, there's some icons down there.
What is going on here?
What could this possibly be?
The sidebar itself has let me just open any file. The sidebar itself has shrunk a little bit, and we've got a lot of new features, things we can do. What is of all the things that are happening, what's one you wanted the most in sidebar?
I think I wanted to have the symbol list and the type list open at the same time.
That sounds nice. Let's do that. Boom. And you'll notice, in fact, the type list actually got moved to the right-hand side. Now,
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. What if I wanted to put something on the right-hand side?
well, you can just drag stuff. Or if you want to take types and put it back here and
Yeah.
put variables instead on the right. No problem.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's
So
pretty nice.
you can have these views up. You can toggle them on and off. I've already, by the way, the feature map is still on by default. I just happened to have hidden it earlier.
I mean, you just have that at the top, obviously.
And you can also move it to the top if you prefer. If you want the IDA look, which is very
It's just
similar to
kind of
our
my
scroll
mental
bar.
model for where it goes.
Do you usually actually run it up top usually?
I usually don't run it, but when I think of it, I usually run it
Yeah.
on the top.
I generally leave it on. I leave it on the right, but
Interesting.
but yeah, with the new sidebars, we'll see that we may have to, I don't know what we're gonna do with the defaults or how we may change that. Be very curious. I mean,
All right.
so you can
Got
drag
that.
and drop.
Yep.
Also, just speaking of drag and
You can.
dropping, we can just reorder.
Oh yeah, you can reorder them now.
What if you want them in a different
That's
order?
nice.
You can do that there.
What are the ones on the bottom?
Well, the very bottom, there's two kind of sets here. First, there's these, which you all may remember. That's just cross references and the mini graph.
Which is not in your view, but yeah.
It's the mini graph. It's a minor bug, but I got it working before actually.
You did get it working before.
I just had to switch both the graph view.
There you
we
go.
And then once you've done that, it's fine. It stays synced.
Dock widgets are dead.
But
Long live the sidebar.
somebody say that? Yeah, like basically some of the things from dock widgets are back. It's getting a little bit more flexible. You can move things around a little bit more. There's more customization, but we still have the sidebar in general, which I still really like. A lot of the toggle ability of
Yeah.
of the sidebar. You can click to toggle the stuff on and
And
off.
the old dock widgets were really clunky.
Yeah, and a little too awkward to
Yeah.
get to a nice layout. So I think that we've got to hopefully a sweet spot where you get both the flexibility that you had with dock widgets, but the sort of nice out of the box experience. Oh, and in fact we talked earlier about how the type view
Mhm.
you could put into a pane or type browser rather, that you could get both that different layout. There's actually, let's go down to the bottom here, because there's another one that's joined the bottom view. So you're familiar with like the scripting console and the Python console, which have been down there for a while.
Yeah, the log.
Sorry, not script. Thank you. The
Yeah.
Python console and the log, which have been down here for a while. We
Mhm.
call this the global area, and we kind of had this concept at one point that it was going to be like global stuff that happens everywhere is here because your scripting console, even if you have a different file open,
Yeah, but
it
not quite how it ended up.
didn't really get used that way a whole lot, and so I think we're kind of like walking back from that sort of design paradigm. It's still
It was
definitely,
kind of having like two different things that did the exact same thing.
yeah,
Right? The sidebar and the global area were roughly the same
generally
idea,
being used the same
just two
way.
different sets of code.
And then some of them like log and Python do, like the Python console does have context that is shared between multiple tabs, and the log even has already started to move away from that sort of global log because it's kind of annoying. You can actually have separate logs, so you can control that by changing which, do you want to have per tab
Right,
log here,
right.
global or whatever. So like it was already kind of moving away from that
Can I
model
get
of
left and right?
global. Absolutely, you can get left and right. Although it took me a little bit. I did have to figure out you
Ooh.
drag from here to here, and then you've got your left and right. So you used to be able to like grab here
Yeah.
and drag over, but
But now
now
it's in the
you're
sidebar.
if you rearrange, you're dragging the icon back and forth. So I don't know if that's the old feature will come back in. Again, this is not done by any stretch. This one's still under development. Rusty's still kind of working on
Yep.
it.
Someone wants to know, would you be able to move the Python console or snippet editor window to the side as well?
Ooh. So Python console, absolutely. Snippets are not yet a pain,
But that could be a pretty easy
but now
part
that
to
this
do.
is a thing, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a to do for Jordan. Snippets. Yeah, I'll probably once this lands, or actually I can go to the test branch. And one of the reasons I've kind of not done it, is because the current snippet, um, isn't really well suited towards a really narrow
Right, because it's
vertical
kind of
view.
chunky.
I would have had to like redo the UI a bunch.
It'd be
to make
nice
fit
if it
in
were on the
pane.
bottom.
But on the bottom, it could
Yeah,
totally fit
it would
right now.
fit.
So I could just make it a thing. I think the minimum height is.
He sets the minimum height to like 800.
Why would I have done such a thing? That's terrible.
Yup.
I think I was fixing the default height and I accidentally did that. Let me make a note of that.
That's not even a feature we're showing off.
It's the first bug so far that I'm
Wow.
getting distracted by. So yeah, actually snippets to go down the bottom area would
That would
be
be cool.
easy. That'd be really nice.
And that would be possible.
Yep. Now it's doable with the new with the new view. So hopefully people who have wanted a little more flexibility will like that. There's a bunch more things, like for example, if you really want a floating mini graph, you can do that now.
Ooh.
Yeah, and you can use your window manager. You can actually, so this is a full native OS window, so I can bring it out. But there's also this concept that you can change it to a floating instance.
Hey, what's the difference?
Well, it's like an always on top thing basically. Now it's just like it's a part of this app. So when I switch to a different app, it's gone, but it's just like it's become a floating window in this view.
Just kind of put it wherever you want and then just
You
leave
want
it there.
your mini graph, like somewhere over your graph itself, for example. Although again, it's not updating. There's
Yeah.
still some stuff to be
It's
actually.
a work
if
in
I go
progress.
back to graph view, it does. Yeah.
You weren't even in graph view.
Yeah. So
I mean, that explains it.
that's kind of to be expected, but
There you go.
so yeah. So if you like that behavior, and again,
Can you float
these
it to
toggle.
another screen?
Absolutely, yes. You can float them all to another screen. I only have one.
I guess you only have
right
one
now.
screen connected to this.
Yeah. Well, I have two because they're mirroring, but basically, yeah.
It's-
I don't have it set up with two virtual desktops, but you absolutely can. I know Rusty's. That's
Yeah,
something
he's been doing a lot of work to make sure that it
Yeah.
does all the things you would expect.
And that's one of them. So I really like, again, it's a memory map moved down here. Strings view is interesting too. Strings are now here because a lot of strings are very wide, and it didn't work super well in the sidebar. So that one, a couple things naturally got moved down. Memory map needs some changes because it doesn't work great in either view.
I mean, it just needs to be a side by side.
It needs to be down here, but then this needs to be over here. Yeah.
But we'll get there.
It's coming.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be too bad. I'm really excited too by
The
the
search will be
find.
cool.
Search is really nice. So here's what's nice about search. If I want to search for example, hex string EB08, right? Find all of those, right? I can find that, or I can find some more. And so it's got these tabs now. And how is
This is not an x86 binary, but
Oh,
you
it's
found one
not.
anyways.
That's hilarious. I didn't even think about
I
this.
was
This
like,
is
what happened?
Nanomips. Like, yeah, what was
I think this is ARM.
No, Nanomips. Isn't? Oh, sorry. This is
This is BinOS.
This is Mach. So I've got it defaulting to ARM.
Yeah.
Yeah, X9.
I'm
Wow,
amused to found something.
that's funny. Oh, and it's funny. I hit the Python hotkey and it put me on the right. I'm like, why isn't it focusing?
Yeah.
Because I'm over here
You look at that.
on the side. All right, so that we can move my Python back down here. Split this. That's a nice view. Get your
Yeah.
find results.
The multiple
down
search
here.
results in the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's really nice. It used to be it would be like in a pane, and it was kind
It
of
was
a,
kind of janky.
kind of a pain.
Oh.
Hashtag dad jokes. So yeah, this is a huge improvement. So pretty excited about that one.
That's cool.
All right, let me look at notes. Right click. Oh, there's one other little subtle thing that actually Josh suggested when we were just trying it out
Yep.
without reading any of the notes, which is if you shift click, like right now, the behavior if I hit symbols is I toggle on and off.
Yeah.
But if you want multiple, you can hit shift.
I think you
Oh,
want
wait.
multiple different ones. You hit shift.
Right, if I want a different one. Yeah, if I want
Yeah.
types and symbols. It will.
Can you just get all of them?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a big monitor, you can turn them all on, right? Or you could pick in windows, you could pop them out, you could float, you could do all that kind of stuff.
That's real convenient.
So yeah, that shift is kind of nice. It's a little subtle. There's no real UI for it. I think we need to, like, I think shift should have a little plus appear over things when you
Yeah.
do it, or some other like visual. Much like if y'all aren't aware, this thing when you hover in the upper right.
Oh, that one's real subtle, but
I love that one. I know it is subtle,
That's
but
really
like.
cool.
I liked it because you can know whether you're going to get a vertical or horizontal split based on shift, and the modifier changes. I think that's a super cool UI element that we should do more of. All right, so bunch of changes there. Also, yes, the L and the P, those icons are temporary, or the L and the S rather, for scripting console and the log window.
Yeah.
We are working on new icons for all of those. All right, so I think we got there. Speaking of types,
New things.
let's go to type archives.
Ooh.
So you're up now. You can tell us about type archives.
Yeah. So type archives are a new feature coming in the new version where you basically can have a archive or like a database of types, and you can share them between different analysis sessions. So for example, if you've ever worked with some piece of software that has a whole bunch of plugins or like modules, you
Or
can
like a firmware, maybe.
like a firmware with modules. It's almost like we sent the firmware over here.
Now I haven't opened this up at all.
Yeah. So you
So-
want the lib directory,
All right,
where all the libraries
Let's
are.
go look at all the libs.
Probably the modules directory, because that's where the modules are.
All right. It's kernel modules. Oh
yeah.
KOs. Okay.
So say, for example, you've got this firmware to something that has a whole bunch of like networking modules for a kernel, right?
Yep.
And they probably share a whole bunch of structure types back and forth between them.
Yep.
So previously, if you wanted to have them all like share the same types, you would have to define the types in every single one of them and synchronize them and like make sure that the definitions didn't diverge or anything. So now, oh yeah, it splits your sidebar is a little bit weird after that.
Yeah,
you
it's
know
got
what?
leftovers of the last
Yeah.
UI changes in it. I'm kind of switching back and forth and doing terrible things to it.
But basically, it's a more efficient way of keeping track of your types between different analysis sessions.
All right. So how do I make one?
So you use the menu.
Okay.
All right, or sorry, the context menu.
This
Yeah.
one. There we go.
It's also a hamburger menu. You want to create a type archive.
Add. I don't create type archive.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit beefy.
All right. So we're gonna put our type archive.
Hopefully not
Let's
in the
put it in
root.
the same folder. Here we're gonna call it network kernel types. Yes, please.
All right,
I have an archive.
you got an archive.
Now
now
can
you
I
need
make
some
like
types.
make a type.
Yeah,
Linux
here's where you go
kernel
look at the
header
type of a
network.
skibuff.
I should probably it's nf contract IPv4.h maybe. Sure, that works.
Oh, that's a structure with a whole bunch of more structures
there's gonna
inside
be
of
a
it.
bunch of these that are like that probably. Can I get ones that are kind of
Sure.
this might be more complicated. Let's see.
Who knew Linux was complicated? I was gonna say
Uh,
skibuff, but skibuff is actually like 100 things. Oh my god. Yeah, but as people in the chat are realizing, there's no more insane copy paste, and you don't have to
Yes. You don't have to
export
import
to
as
a
header and
header.
import
Yep.
as and then
Yep.
every time you make a change, you got to go redo the same process. Exactly.
Yep. Is there going to be a server for hosting and sharing? Not initially. It's an interesting idea. We might work at it in the future, but for now, these are going to be like, well, that's an interesting point because for the commercial version of the project, or the commercial version of Binja, you will get like as a file.
Oh, we should get our visitor.
There's a dog going
Hold
back
on,
and
hold
forth.
on,
You
everybody.
gotta get sidetracked.
gotta
So
get
there's a
Doggo
dog
cam.
cam.
It's dog camp time. Where's Doggo Camp? Yes, come here. Come here. Come here. Come say hi. This is whoa, you don't like it. This is Pendleton. You say hi, Pendleton. Say hi.
If he did actually say that, it would be very concerning.
He's very friendly though. He's saying it. He's saying it on the inside. Pendleton came to visit the office today, and we thought. I saw Sergey was on earlier. I hope it's not quite the full Doggo Cam experience you have, but we wanted.
Oh
to
man,
have
if you
some.
had a perspective of him leaning his head all the way
I can
back.
see it. I think. Yeah, I think he's liking it. There we go. Yes, the most important 4.0 feature, Doggo Cam, Pendleton. Okay, thanks for playing, buddy. Okay.
All right, buddy.
He's a good boy.
In case it was getting too technical.
11 out of 10.
Oh my gosh, you named the OBS source Doggo Cam.
I did.
I can't believe it.
I did. I was gonna have it on a toggle so I could do it multiple times, but turning it off wasn't working. No dog included. No, Pendleton.
dog
is,
included,
Pendleton
sadly.
is. You can get Mark, if you come and visit our office, you can get free Pendleton pets.
You just have to find the right day.
Yeah, multiple people in the office did earlier. Okay, so
Yeah, the dog is enterprise only.
they're presently featured. We'll bring Pendleton to you.
Yeah.
All
Where were we at?
right, so I made a
Yeah,
random
you
type.
made a
It's
type.
not the right one, but we're not gonna look too closely at that. I've got a struct,
All right.
and I just maybe I can. Do I drag it? No. Do I
Right click right now. Drive
Push
would be
types
nice.
to archive.
Yup.
Okay. Ooh,
And
and my
just
archive's
sent
got a
it.
thing.
Yeah.
I got a thing. I got an
Yeah,
archive. Yeah, but hold on. But what if this file
You gotta.
I want to attach a type archive?
Yeah. Go find it. You gotta make the find dialog remember where you are.
Mac makes it easy.
macOS does.
I think Windows now supports the like drag and drop into like a generic file picker too.
Might be good. And then
Ooh.
Linux is just Linux.
Hey, look
And
at
now you
that.
can just pull it.
Full touch from archive.
There you go.
Let's go. Oh, but hold on, I made a mistake. This one, it's actually not port out22. It should be called net. Yeah,
All right.
Yeah, I forgot that. Let's update that type.
And
but wait,
obviously,
what's this? What's this thing?
so temporary icons until all of our icons are finished. But it shows you, hey, wait, you have changed this type. You should push your changes.
Push it to the archive.
And then you go back to the other one. And it's like, hey,
Hey,
you gotta get your
Pull.
changes. You can
there
pull.
we go.
That is definitely a letter V. Don't think about it too hard.
It was a view with a line or two, but
You know what? It's fine.
there we go.
But yeah, you can now synchronize your types back and forth
2
between
clicks.
your different analysis
2
sessions.
clicks.
And in enterprise version, it will also go back and forth to the server.
Yeah.
So anyone else on your server can get your types.
Yeah, but like that helps me organize, you
Yeah.
know, types between 2 files, but cross references are still kind of a pain, you know.
Is this a segue?
Sure would be nice. Sure would be nice
Ooh,
if we
I'm getting good at detecting the segues.
I think you saw that one coming. Is there anything more about type archives that I should mention while we're here?
I think that's about it.
All
There's
right.
a whole bunch of use cases we could iterate, but like,
Yeah.
I think people can pretty much see the like appeal of this.
Yeah, hopefully people are excited about this one. If you've done any like projects with multiple files and
Yeah.
things, that's
Or if you've reversed different versions of the same game across
yeah.
multiple different compiled, yeah.
And I know that like we're still. I know I've heard some discussion about like pushing and pulling is basically equivalent to saving. It's automatically going to put it in there, so I don't have to separately save it because that would be pretty awkward if you had to like
Yeah,
both
no.
push and save and load and pull or like vice versa. So I think that makes sense. But like yeah, what if I want to like actually like open up all these and do some analysis between them? Let's.
Oh man, what is this other very suspiciously named version of Binja doing?
Door side projects. Let's go take a look. And this is, yeah, these are all like on their way to dev. They're going to be there. In fact, I think projects is like slated for Monday. Like
Yeah.
it could go during this call. I think is the plan. But it's basically been.
I hope it doesn't go at 5 on a Friday.
Yeah,
That's a very bold choice if it does.
Might be a little risky there. So like let's talk about this. We've got a new project option now.
Yep.
And actually I think this one is rebased on the latest deb, so we didn't have the newest UI. But let's make a new project. Oh, wait. We want to see if Josh wants to.
Oh yeah,
to
we can
join
see if
us.
Josh is here.
Josh is here, or at least he was. So if he wants to come and, so let's do a kernel mods. So let's make a new project, and we got a brand new UI here.
Ooh.
And actually, the only thing I want to point out that we should mention is the default file name was still BNTA. He's staring at our door. We need the doggo cam for you.
You need the dog cam for
You
Josh.
can come in.
That's not too bad.
Yeah,
I have.
it's only 2 people
Yeah, now there are 3 people.
Okay, hold on. Let me turn the volume down.
and hundreds of
It's set-
watts of computation.
Well, and it's set to Tim volume level.
Tim,
Oh.
So, yes, you're much louder than Tim.
Also, the headset bands are real tight.
It goes
You're upside
over
down.
your ear.
You gotta
Yeah.
rotate.
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, we use this.
We did.
Just make sure it doesn't hit. It was hitting my my scruff.
Yeah,
It's very.
did shave today.
Say some words.
I think this is a stream record,
His
by the
words.
way. 89 concurrent viewers. If that's right,
That's
this is
pretty good.
definitely a stream record.
Our words.
All right, here,
Heard.
yeah, face cam. Okay, there we go.
Oh, hi.
Surprise! We're here.
Yeah, hi. I'm trying to fix my glasses.
Yeah, we turned off the face cam just because we're trying to get good recordings where we edit down some of the features, and
You gotta get the
release for
good
people.
clips for later.
that's true. We gotta get good content. So okay,
Yeah.
we're good.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right,
What am I talking about?
we're talking about project. We just shut off
What are projects?
projects.
Oh,
I don't
man.
know. You got some time? You
What
want
are
to
you-
implement a feature that we
Oh
can?
yeah.
What do you project that they're gonna be?
Oh, nice. I like it.
It was not nice.
That's pretty bad. That's even worse than painful. All right. So let's see.
So long have people wanted the ability to use multiple files
In-
in Ninja.
In the beginning,
You gotta
there was
put this
there
game.
was a
Beginning,
binary
there was
view,
a single file, and
Yeah.
it was good.
but it couldn't
So-
cross-reference, and this was not
You
good.
couldn't do cross references between them. You couldn't jump between related files. You couldn't keep sets of similar files together. Or if you wanted to dump an entire, I don't know, router firmware somewhere, if only
It
we
could
had one of
be
those
any
lying
sort of
around.
firmware. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be.
Does it do analysis on them all if I just drop them all in?
No,
Let's see what happens.
Let's do it.
yeah, do it.
So you got all
Yeah,
these kernel
add 'em all.
modules.
Look at
Okay, you
that.
got all of those. Now, if you
Yeah.
wanted to, you could select like a little subset of
Mhm.
them.
Get a
Yeah,
couple
like
of them.
These.
Just select those, right click, and if you want to just
Yeah.
analyze those,
do it,
or
just
open
go.
them.
Oh, yeah.
just go for it.
Just YOLO. Look how
Yeah.
fast that was. So good.
I love router firmwares.
All right, and then actually, like, these are kernel modules, so go look at the exports.
Yeah, go
Yep.
for it.
You got some
This-
exports.
It's so this one. All right. What else we got? Init module.
That's probably
okay.
the start function. You should look at the net filter ones.
All right. Let's go back to our project browser.
And you got
So which
those are a
one?
bunch of net filter
Yeah,
ones.
connection track ones, netlink. So here's the netlink one.
See if they import anything.
That's the real question.
Get somebody who imports stuff.
So
These ones possibly not.
this is for
Try,
folks watching. I'm using the command palette, choosing triage summary, and then just tabbing next
Oh.
to like quickly rerun and do the same thing. So let's maybe go IP tables,
Interesting.
something that
Oh,
imports.
I
something
wonder if it's
else.
because they're MIPS files.
Interesting.
What? That they don't
We're
have
trying to look for one
Yeah,
that
'cause
imports
you-
from another one, or is there a difference?
So certainly if you grab one of the like NF-NAT files,
Well, hold on, but this
Yeah.
one's into the net, so I want to make a folder here. Let's put this as.
Oh no!
Oh wait, no, I
that's
don't want to add a
importing
folder. Sorry, I want to add a folder. Can I
Yeah.
make a folder right here?
got a new
And we're
folder.
gonna make one called net. And then let's see, can I add files to this and add all these? I don't know if I can do multiple or not. Let's see.
See if we have questions
why
while
not?
you're poking it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. You
There
could
we go.
even just add the folder now. You didn't have to make one. of the
Oh
projects.
yeah, just add the folder right. Yeah, dragging the folder might have been easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Nice description box. I can add in some notes, save
Yeah,
it in
go
here.
for it.
Yep.
Then save and cancel pop up down there.
Does this have imports? I hope so. Let's see. All right, so let's open that one.
No?
Wah,
All right.
wah. Yeah, it may be this.
I bet it's because it's MIPS.
Yeah. We may not
MIPS
get
big
any
in it.
there.
But it's got lots of externs. What if
Yeah.
you grab one of the externs?
Yeah, I mean, you could link whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. Choose a symbol. Choose a symbol that you like more in a different binary.
Grab one of the orange ones. Like-
Panic.
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 Let's go grab
Yeah,
panic.
go panic over there.
All right, so panic comes from. We got a libc somewhere around here, probably.
Well, it's kernel.
That's right. This is the kernel. So.
What is the kernel's libc called? What a good question.
Where's the kernel itself? Let's see.
There's a Linux RC.
Yeah, what would be the kernel here?
It's in here somewhere.
Yeah. So let's just instead of trying to actually reverse a kernel.
Instead of panic, why don't you grab one that comes from another kernel thing?
Oh, okay. There we go. Like register netdev.
That's probably coming from somebody.
That definitely comes from
Yeah.
somewhere. So let's see. I wonder what the fastest way to figure out where that comes from. Probably just Google.
The
Register.
kernel and you.
Oh boy.
netdevice.h. Netdevice. So where do we go? We were lib modules. Let's see.
Lots of kernel modules.
So let's see what were we, it was in.
See, what I would have gone with is one of the like net filter nat files.
All right. I'll you tell me. I'll play. Let's close
It's like,
this
hey,
down.
wait, I thought I had how this might work.
All right. You got a plan. Let's go
Yeah.
follow that one. So open up.
Just one of the NF nat files.
Okay. So
I
NF
say that because
nat FTP.
yep.
I feel so fast too, by the way.
So you've got all these various NF like external symbols. So grab, I think it was nfnat.ko.
Okay. Let's go. Yep. Yep. Oh, there we go. And now we're
Yeah.
gonna look for.
Now you can find all the different exports that it has and
There
all
we
the
go.
imports
So
from
let's
the other
go
one.
yeah. Does this one? Let's see if that one is. Oh wait, was it the wrong one? No, there's the KO. Yeah. So yeah, there we go.
Hey.
Yeah.
So nfnat.ko exports this. This one
It
has
imports
an
it.
as an extern. So all right. So
All right, so you might notice a little like chain link on the side over there in the sidebar.
oh yeah.
Ooh, it's new.
What links? Oh, no library. What is in no library?
Oh, there we
Oh, look at
go.
that.
Here's a bunch of
And we
symbols.
can even search directly for the one that I
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
So if you want to, say, oh, wait a minute, this uses a library. Go ahead and create an external library.
Yeah. And ooh, I already just kind of use nfnat directly in here. .ko.
Yeah.
You probably want to link to a BNDB, honestly.
Okay.
So if you go back to the other one, just hit
Just-
Control S.
Just save
Just
that.
save it,
Yeah,
make a
creates
BNDB.
Now
Now go ahead and
external
create the
library. Oops. Nat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It's probably not in the search results though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh, I was like,
Yeah.
where is it?
wait.
Ah, it has
Yeah.
you got to search.
Filter still.
Okay,
Cool.
and then just go ahead and drag the nfnat, whatever
Yeah.
was in there, to the library.
Probably can grab the other ones too. I wonder if it'll.
Yeah, why not? You can
yeah.
multi-select.
I bet it's. Well, it's at least these.
Those the ones that say
These.
NF nat seem
Those
like they
are
would go
those are
there.
pretty safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got them there.
All right. I mean, you want to just double click on one?
I mean, let's come here. Oh wait, why am I over here now?
Oh,
Look at that. Oh
Whoa, what?
wait, is that the same one? Yeah, nat mangle TCP packet.
follow man.
Follow master.
Look at that.
What?
There we go.
Are you telling me you can?
So how does that work
go
if it's in
between-
like linear view? If you go to something that uses one of those,
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So it is, yeah.
Actually,
so
here,
if
let's
you
go
don't click
you
on
cross
the
yeah,
references.
just a
external-
cross reference. Yep.
Yeah, so like one of these here.
Yeah, so it's on symbol right now. So the one he created is on the external symbol.
Mm.
So when you try
No,
to
I
navigate
went.
to that symbol,
Yeah.
when you try to navigate to that
That's
symbol,
pretty good.
it'll just go. And you can do this at any level. So if you have like 3 levels of indirection of import, you don't have to drill all the way down to the bottom.
It'll take you straight there.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So nice. So nice.
Yeah. And you can link like any symbol. So it doesn't have to be an export, doesn't have to be a function. You can link like data variables if it gets populated with a function pointer from another library. Like do that. That's totally fine. Yeah, and it can go to arbitrary symbol name in the destination, or also if there is no symbol and you just have an address, like if it's just a raw blob, then you can just have it go to the address.
Do I have to manually map all of the external symbols?
So anything we detect as an extern in the beginning, like on analysis, is automatically added. So like all of these, for example, were just created. If you have like a PE where we know where it came from, it'll also create the libraries for you and sort them appropriately.
Cool.
Yeah. And I think I've seen like the PE, if I link up one of the ones that belongs to that library, does it just do all of them, or do I have to add each one for that whole library? So I thought at one point there was something there. Maybe I misremember now.
Oh, yeah, no, if you associate the like library with a file, everything sorted into that library will work.
It just automatically does. Yeah, it does all of them. Yeah. So it's a little bit nicer on PE files because that mapping is there. It's not just like, oh, go find the name loader, please figure it out for me.
Yeah.
But you have a library and a method, and it will do all it'll do all of them.
Plans are in the future to automatically pull in, dependencies of files you put in, and allow you to kind of set a system like library search path or project specific library search path and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah, so this is MVP first version. There's definitely a list of things that we would like to improve to it. I'm looking forward to drop like a router image and just like everything just like gets done. But
we have a couple of very entertaining questions in here.
We get a ways. So, what's what's from chat?
I was gonna say, someone says, Jordan, do you know I have a crush on you?
Aww. Where's my face cam?
Someone wants to know if they can auto share their type archives between project files. The answer is soon.
Yes.
We have to go through a big merge process with all these different features on their different branches, but very soon.
There has been some testing, and they were designed to work together, and that's the plan. That's also part of why they're not on dev is they're going to kind of like
there's a lot of integration
and some integration.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts in both of ours.
But that's the design, and that's the plan for both, like for enterprise, for commercial, like even enterprise, we were saying earlier, like the sync stuff, like having this project, you may be familiar with enterprise, has a similar project browser. So kind of combining those two systems. We actually had like projects in the settings system, we had projects in the enterprise, and then we're like, no, we have this new project thing that's actually like a superset of all of that.
Yeah, the old projects were a feature that most people didn't really know about because they weren't super.
No,
this is going to be good.
Yeah.
This is going to be really nice.
If you want to just select a range of files, like right-click Analyze.
Oh, that's cool.
To create the BNDBs?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh.
Ask for confirmation, but...
Interesting.
Oh, you might have to... So there's a bug on Mac with accessibility options where you have to keep the mouse on the window.
Oh, look at that. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I cannot repro it for the life of me.
It's like cool. So we can see why it's not quite done yet.
Yeah, not quite on dev. Because I am
But that's neat. You can just analyze a whole bunch of files.
You can also, if you want, you can export a range of files from the project back out somewhere.
And I could, so if I want to switch over to...
it waits for every single UI update. That's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to actually move the mouse. You know, like wiggle it to keep it. Even if you leave it here. Oh, no, now it's going.
So it'll
now? I don't know. That's interesting.
And then in Enterprise, they'll be automatically...
Yeah, in Enterprise, it'll...
Yeah.
But if you want to like export...
all of these.
Those binary, or those BNDB somewhere, just hit export.
You like put them wherever you want.
Put them in some folder.
And you just got them?
Yeah, then you just
get them. Ooh, look at that.
Yep, and they're exported from the project all clean and nice.
Excuse me.
Yeah, so I think it will save a lot of time.
I think
definitely navigating back and forth was always a hassle.
It is super important to clarify. This is the first feature we've added to commercial and above only in...
Yeah, I was just going to say someone has asked.
The history of the product, actually, yeah. So I apologize if you were super excited on a non-commercial license. We have a long history of only adding things from commercial to non-commercial, and we were running out of commercial-only features. And so this one is one that we've decided for now, anyways, is going to be commercial only. That
Commercial and enterprise.
commercial enterprise, yeah,
Yes.
commercial and above, I would say, yeah. So
Yes.
anything with commercial or enterprise, they both have this, but
So not in the free version.
not in free and not in the
And I think that makes sense.
yeah.
Like-
So we really try to be careful to have as many features that make sense for we try to add everything as much as we can. Like I said, we're adding Nanomips and we're throwing that. We're adding RISC-V and we're throwing that in all of them, but they're all the paid ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's projects. This has been
See if we got any more questions. Hang
Joe was
on.
asking, are there APIs for it? And Jordan, if you want to go ahead and open
Yep.
a file, one of the ones you already have open works,
okay.
and just
I was so ready for him to
ev.project.
open all of them.
Yeah. So there are. Oh,
Oh, this
forgot
current
underscore.
project.
Yeah. So project API full. Anything you can do in the UI, you can do in the API.
You like .files.
Hmm?
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Dot files.
There we go.
Yeah, and
That's
you can
pretty good.
export and you can do everything. Like tree-wise walking of
Oof,
files.
That's clean.
TBD.
Yeah.
But
No, that's still really nice.
That would be very cool.
And again, likewise, like enterprise has a similar sort of like
Yeah.
API as well for like a lot of automation things. But yeah, this almost feels a little bit like we're bringing some of that project automation that was on enterprise to commercial almost.
That'll be
Just
very
because
nice.
like you could have previously like do a bunch of automation that would batch process and put things in folders and put them in the enterprise project. Now you could do the same thing for a named commercial or for a commercial license
Yeah.
as well.
And this also brings a lot of like quality of life improvements and just general usability improvements to enterprise, especially
Yeah.
with like performance alone.
Yeah.
Is I switch back to enterprise dev and I try working on some of the like my big test projects where I have like tens of thousands of files and folders, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how
Well,
did we think?
And having one unified code base for both, where
Yeah,
improvements will
absolutely.
benefit both the features.
Yeah,
is
that
super nice.
was a blessing and a curse during development. But
Yeah.
But also the external links will be very nice, being able to go back and forth between like different project files,
oh yeah,
sync
Yeah,
up where the
yeah.
functions go.
Just not having to like alt tab, copy,
Yup.
alt tab, tab, G, paste, enter, like, you know.
And
every
I'm
time you
sure
wanna-
with the APIs, people will script up entire like crazy workflows involving
to
this.
automatically link everything
Yeah.
up, and yeah, I agree. Exciting. Okay, one last one here. We've got a last test branch, and I think I even saw Kat was on stream for. We told you there's new UI stuff coming. One of the things that we're not demoing is we plan still to have a new theme. So 4.0 will probably still have a new UI, a theme slightly different. So like all of these
something like
changes.
this, maybe.
Well, not just like color scheme, like actual theme. Like this is the new tab.
Yeah.
And thank you. I saw this earlier. She left a message for us here. So, this is like there's a couple of different like, not just that like the tabs up top that we saw before, not just the sidebar, but the actual like whole new tab thing here itself is going to have. You can see you've got both the files and projects. So you got both these views, and I like this a lot.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Once I saw that, I
the
was like,
breakout
oh,
tabs are so good.
that's really nice having both of these here.
Yep.
So again, still a design draft. We're still working on some specifics, but you've got like new open over here, and then kind of your change log on the right, where you can see all the notes for versions. Which right now is just all the dev. Is it dev? This looks like no. There's the latest dev. That's
That's
right.
dev.
No, is it? Yeah. So I'm misremembering
Yeah,
build
weren't
numbers.
The test ones are in the
5,000.
5,000s.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
dev.
So you can see all of our commit messages
That's
there.
very
So
cool.
change log. There's a couple of things like again, we'll have some
Sneak preview.
sneak previews, and also I bet a lot of people didn't even know you could do this before. Like you could hit command,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just forget.
6 and do that, but like or control 6 or whatever depending on your platform.
Yep.
So it's nice that those are hinted. So that's another nice improvement.
That's very cool.
So I think is that my list?
That's your list?
That's
We have
my
a bunch of
list.
questions about people wanting C++ decompilation. Please solve C++ decompilation. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll get right on that. Look, we did
I
all
think we can do
all
that
this
before release,
stuff.
right?
Yeah.
It's something we keep thinking about. It's definitely something. You'll notice that you got class and inheritance support, which is really nice. Last stable. So clearly, it's something that we're thinking about and working towards. But not quite soon. So yeah, this is the by far and away the largest
There's a
live
lot of stuff
stream,
going in.
and like the 4.0 feature is just got a huge list of things. But I think it's time for one
You
more
got some
thing.
your one more thing?
Let's do
We got
one more
some
thing.
special guests maybe?
Yeah,
Okay.
why don't you guys head on out and send in
Send in this.
Yeah. You want to
send in our guests.
mute the mics so we don't deafen everybody taking them off?
Too late.
Okay. Well, apologies.
Let's see, I think I did it right. I think I muted their mics.
Grab the two
Okay.
other dogs.
All right. They don't need the dog. Testing. Testing. I messed up something. I'm not sure what I did, but I think I did my. Oh, I know what happened. I bet it unplugged. I think my mic just unplugged. All right, let me try this again now. All right. Okay, my mic is not working. Sorry, everybody. Thanks. Okay, so let me repeat what I said. Yeah, come on in, folks. While I quickly set this up, we have a feature freeze. Excuse me, feature freeze above the mic in about 2 weeks, I think, and then a bug freeze a week after that. Then we moved into testing. I know, yeah, Cindy, I know that's typical, but we do what we can. Yeah, Hezo. Actually, we already have arguably better C++ support than Nitro Pro in some ways. Like we can do virtual inheritance in C++ classes and some other things that our support is really good. Galen says hi to y'all. He's in chat.
I'm in chat too.
It's so sorry, everybody else's mic. Yeah, I forgot. We gotta like mute the mics when they're not not when we're wearing them. I noticed earlier it was like super scratchy because I had it hitting like my facial hair and it was really annoying. So let us know if you hear any kind of scratching stuff. We'll try to fix it. ASMR. Yeah. Welcome to the Binary Ninja live stream. We're gonna be rubbing some paper today.
The feed here is like really behind. So if I'm gonna follow here on messages that are in chat, it's gonna be like
Oh,
pretty lag.
there's a bit of a delay
Yeah.
in that.
I might just look at your screen because yeah, it's definitely behind.
Oh, and Mike says he misses playing Rocket League, by the way, with you.
Oh really?
Wales, yeah.
Dang,
See, like you get a whole bunch to prepare.
I haven't played that. in-
So Cindy, that's a good question. Also, could you all see? Is Tim intentionally hiding off camera? But Tim's over here. He's off the side. Everyone say hi to Tim. You can hear him now. He should be live. Actually, let's go ahead and do mic check for PK.
Yep. So I'm talking to a mic. It's very exciting. It's the first time I've done live stream. I feel like an official sportscaster now.
Keep going.
Oh yeah, keep going. Okay. So let's see. What can I talk about?
All right, you're good. And Tim.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Cool. All right, so hopefully everyone's audio is now good. So real quick, Cindy, to answer your question, while I close all this stuff down, there is an example in the user manual types. It was C++ types. There it is. So if you actually look under just the regular docs and then user manual and C++ types, this is the documentation on that, even with some kind of samples and examples of how to use that. Thanks, Sergey. Awesome. Thanks, Julia, too. Okay, so audio levels are good, and we've got
You should get
one more thing. I'm excited. This is the Sidekick development team here with me, everybody. So I did a poor job showing off things. I think it was last stream in December, right beforehand, when we were just kind of doing the beta still. Yeah, you're welcome, Cindy.
So you brought in reinforcements.
So I brought in reinforcements, and we're gonna my job is to not flub as much, and we actually tested things kind of beforehand this time, which was my fault and not their fault. Also, do you want to describe the current state? Like what is the state of Sidekick? Where are we at in the
Yeah, sure. So Sidekick is a plugin and a service that we have been developing for some time now. The plugin is freely available for download through the plugin manager within Binary Ninja. You can download it and take a look at it. Paired with the Sidekick plugin is a backend service that enhances the capabilities of the Sidekick plugin. And in order to access that service, you need a plan. And this week we have started early access for people to purchase plans. So over the coming days, weeks, we will be opening access to that more and more. In the meantime, you can go to sidekick.binary.ninja in order to sign up for a Sidekick account if you have not already done so, to get your opportunity to join the early access and then start accessing the full features of the product.
So I had it, and it's now disabled, and I don't know if I did something wrong. I'm just making sure and this time I swear I tested it. So I was using it because I literally recorded a screen capture of it just earlier and was testing it.
And that is the correct version 90.
So yeah, it's 90 the latest version. So
Yep.
let's make sure maybe it was just disabled. We'll let that go for a second, see if that does it. I'm trying to remember, there's nothing with the Mac version.
What happened?
Loaded plugin. Okay. There we go. Okay, so I don't know why I freaked out for a second. I'm like, what did I do? All right. So
We already sacrificed one of these for the demo gods. So
how
you
many?
should be
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Let's see. So now we've got several new icons we can see on the side here. I like to use my favorite demo, and I think Tim, you first pointed this out to me because I said I wanted something that was a real binary. I didn't want something that was just like a CTF or a test binary. I wanted something that was like an actual, like decently sized thing that had real functionality. And so I've been doing light HTTPD. And so again, I'm opening it for the enterprise server. I really like the component view here, especially for this exact reason. Yeah, ignore the thumps. We're fine. Because I like to be able to like see like what's like a large function, like where is like most of the code in this kind of binary. So you can see there's a couple of really large ones. And so I've been using connections state machine as one sample, and just looking at the decompilation. Like this is a non-trivial function. So I've got symbols, right? We can see some of the functions have symbol names, but there's no dwarf, there's no debug, we don't have types, we don't have structures, we don't have anything like that. And it's a pretty good size function. I think it was like 700 lines of decompilation, let alone bytes. Oh, is somebody maybe rubbing their mic? So careful if your mic is not. It's really easy to scratch your face. I was doing it earlier, so hopefully it's not. It sounds like ASMR. Yeah, so don't touch your face or the mic if it's near it. It's hard. I noticed that earlier when we were on here. It may even be like, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we'll cut it out. Sorry about that. Yeah, let us know if you hear it again. It might be. Yeah, we'll see if we can figure out what it is. So okay, so there's a lot of features. The first one up is suggestions. I usually go through. Actually, you guys tell me if you want to drive a different way because you guys are the experts here. I'm showing off your baby.
No, it's we'll chime in as you're going through it.
All
And
right.
since you've demoed this a few times and worked through it, we'll stick to your workflow.
Yeah, I think it might be worth mentioning too that there's different ways of approaching a problem. So you could start with the suggestions, you could start with the indexes and the high-level functions, and so there's actually multiple ways to sort of approach the problem. And I think people are going to choose
Different
different
ones.
things.
Yeah.
You know, like for example, the code insight map for some people is just the place to start.
Yeah, and I think even indexes. If are you the kind of person when you open a binary, you look at all the strings, you find one, you look at the cross reference, or are you the kind of person who goes to main and just starts going from there? There's same way with this. There's no like wrong way to do it, and they can kind of all feed into each other too. I think that's the most important thing, is that none of these features are meant to be a standalone, single shot, just does one trick pony, but rather they all get better based on everything else. See, Cindy's a strings person. I am also a strings reverser.
The other thing to mention too, I don't know what you have planned, but it's easy to forget about the documentation view,
Yeah,
because that's a really great way when you're dealing with like a large function to basically get a nice concise description of it. And that, again, that's yet another way to approach.
Yeah, many times when we've done either development or working with a binary with Sidekick, what we'll do is we'll split our view, and we'll have linear view on one side and we'll have the documentation view on the right side, so that you can see them side by side as you're going through.
So I just opened up suggestions, and this is akin to Clippy. It is the help me understand this function better, give me extra information without me having to go through manual reverse stuff. And I think one of the most powerful features it has, and this is also we've asked before, some of these features have some APIs that we're using from OpenAI. Some of them are tuned versions of, actually they're all tuned in one way or another, but some of them are it's not just like it's ChatGPT. There's a lot of different kind of models, a lot of our own stuff. This recovering and defining structure types, I think, is one of the most powerful features, and it's a result of several years of research we've been doing kind of internally. So I think this is another reason I like this particular binary. What did I do? Oh no! All right,
What happened?
my license key went away. So hold on a second. Let me.
Oh, I might have to get you one real quick.
No, I think I have one.
Oh, you're now in offline. Hey, that worked correctly.
So exactly, the offline status is doing its thing. And actually, that's a good point. Why don't you talk about like the online versus offline,
Sure.
the credits, and what people can do right now? Because there's a lot of these features they can already do.
Yep.
Right?
So one feature that we have in Sidekick is the notion of online or offline mode. So we know that some users, they don't want to really interact with the internet at all when they're reversing a binary. So we added the ability in Sidekick for you to turn off the ability to talk to our backend server. So on the lower right-hand side, there's that status indicator where you can click Sidekick and then have it disconnect. It's a setting that you can set on startup, whether Sidekick connects to the internet or not. So you can, if you set that to false, then you can just always be in offline mode and then re-enable it whenever you need to per session. So
I'm copying my API key, by the way, which is why I have the putting my API key into the settings without people seeing it was my. Okay, there we go. So my API key's in.
yep.
And I'll now that I have it working, thanks Brian, you can have an API key that's masked out. So once I've got it in there, it's good. So
Yep. Yeah, and what Jordan did this is going back to once you've purchased a Sidekick service plan, an API key is generated for that plan that you then put into Binary Ninja, and that gives Sidekick client access to the backend service. Without that API key, you won't be able to access the additional features for Sidekick. You have a limited number of features that you do have access to for free without being online and without having an API key. And we'll go through what some of those are, but at a high level, some of those are the ability to manually create your own indexes, which Jordan will get into, the ability to create your own documentation manually, and also the ability to you can do structure recovery, but you have to do it manually through the sense of you have one step that is required in order for you to do structure recovery is to create components, and you would have to perform those manually before running structure recovery. And then the other feature is the code insight map, which is another view, is something that you can use without having access to the backend service.
And yes, Ninja, the notebook does work offline. You can use that as well. You don't get the chat features, but you can use it as for literally just for notes for yourself. Or same with documentation as well is also useful.
Yeah, there's
same kind of thing.
two types of messages that you can record inside of the notebook, the chat interface. You can send messages to the Sidekick AI assistant, which is the back end part that requires the service, or you can just record sort of private notes and just have them be recorded in that history.
So if you watch me, I'm accepting the suggestions down here, and I'm doing kind of a couple of one-shot suggestions. I can like ask for it and say, yeah, I want that. Go ahead and do it. What's super important though is it's not intended to be just fire and forget. You're supposed to actually at least look at it, review it, or at least it's more powerful when you do. And it's meant that all the UIs allow you to sort of review what it's doing and to say yes or no, I like that or I don't. And so that's actually super nice. You can even specify specific things that you want it to do. If you just let it make suggestions, it will propose what it would do. Oh, and by the way, Crushgenetics, yes, it's totally still in memory. It's not meant to be like a memory safe key store. It's meant to be streamer mode, so I don't leak keys. Same thing like with the serial number. It used to be that if you actually went to the about dialog, it would show the serial number of the user, but if you accidentally brought that up and you were a streamer, you would leak your serial number to other people. So now it just copies it to your clipboard.
If you're wanting to recover structures, you can also do that through the main menu right there.
Yeah, this is also
So you can manually.
there's a bunch of things up here. So for example, if I want to recover structures, and I think, like I said, structure recovery, we can look and see here. We do have the new type viewer. But there's no user types. There's a couple of system types and some libraries that are loaded for this file. But there we go. Now there's two things to note. First, we've got this new folder that was made called HTTP response, and so this is a component that again you can make your own components. I showed earlier that the default naming is improved, but the naming what is put into here has been done by Sidekick for me, where it's tried to automatically identify related functions, and this is an important part of creating the structures because it needs to sort of, it can find the functions that access the similar structures. You can find member accesses in one function but not in another, and so it first does this step, identifies all of the related things, and then that alone, right, just looking at all of these structures with sizes that were made and types like that are already made for me, it's also, I think, really useful to note that the types here are actually created by Sidekick, right? It is actually said this is a 32-bit field, this is a 64-bit field. But there's also binary ninjas even showing I see offsets where there's something that, like, I can click here and look at the cross references. Something accesses this offset in the structure, and Sidekick maybe wasn't confident enough to make a type there, but binary ninja is just showing a reference there. For whatever reason, maybe there's a bigger structure, maybe this is actually not 64-bit, maybe, there's a lot of reasons that it may or may not be, but you can see both of those here, so it's super nice that you get both this, and again here, this is actually really nice too. Look, this one's already identified as a structure pointer to another structure, and so you can go and see that structure as well over there, right? So these are super useful. It's doing all this for you, but they're still just kind of not named, and so I do think it's useful that when you combine that with, like, oh, well, what if I want to now ask for field names, like actually go name those members of the structures. We can also see that this structure here takes, or this function takes these two structs on each of the arguments.
Yeah, I was going to add one thing to what you were just demonstrating, Jordan, was that Sidekick has the ability within the suggestion sidebar for you to make general suggestions and to have Sidekick determine what it thinks is the best thing to do next in order to suggest for you. You can also manually select or manually execute any of the specific suggestion types. So Jordan originally just manually recovered the structures, and then in that hamburger menu, he dropped down and he selected manually give me structure names and names for structures and fields. So you have the convenience of individually selecting the different types of suggestions that you want Sidekick to show you, or you can just say, hey, show me all the suggestions you think are applicable or most useful in this given the current context of the function.
Yeah, and if maybe you don't like one of these suggestions too. Again, I mentioned earlier it's meant to be interactive, right? I could actually just say don't apply one of those, which I think is really important to point out. It's not meant to just you don't have to think. Like, you can review them, you can look at it, you can look at one of these members, and you can then find, okay, let's take this one. And again, this also, you'll notice I'm kind of fighting where I'm going back and forth between suggestions and the cross references, right, in the current version. But that's why that whole refactor with the sidebar, where you can actually have both of these open on different sides of the screen, it'd be really nice we can both keep your cross references up, and you can have the Sidekick suggestions. So that's one of the things I'm actually looking forward to most when those all get kind of merged together. You can also just like manually apply one of these. I can make one particular change, or I can just say, go kind of do all of those things. And so now we've got a state machine parameter, we've got a connection parameter, and we're starting to see like these member names, these variable names start to propagate through, which really, really cleans up the decompilation, right? Just having the structures alone is a huge boost, and then starting to do these names here. And even just having the structures there lets me manually name some of these. And when I start naming them, Sidekick will take that into account, right? It actually not only will, not know that it doesn't need to suggest it because I've already kind of named it, but I think in the latest set of changes, it's sort of like your current names are actually used to inform like how its naming happens, right? Is that a good? What's the right summary of the sort of more recent changes you made where it sounded like the is that a good way of putting it, or what's the?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you start naming variables and elements in the binary, it uses that as context to help it understand the rest of the code. It's basically some kind of internal consistency type of analysis.
Yeah, that's particularly helpful when you have binaries that don't have a lot of symbols or additional information. If the user is able to determine on their own what to name something, getting that information as context to help Sidekick figure out better names for other things, it improves its overall capability to name things.
Yeah, and I will say, since you've made that change, I used to get, and because there are, LLMs in the background of some of these, they're not, it's not repeatable, deterministic, the exact same result every time, so you can get slightly different names. But used to, occasionally you would see like status _1 or variable _1. You see a name that wasn't really super meaningful, and maybe it was just like a copy of another one. And I do see that I don't see any of those. It was nice to demo because I could show like, oh, I don't want this variable, and I'd reject it and clear it. But like all of the names I saw now all look like good names, right? These are actually things that I wanted, and so I don't get to demo that feature as much anymore without kind of like just describing it.
Yeah, and one thing that's interesting to bring up too is that the tempo on Sidekick is going to be a little bit different than the tempo of releases with the main product, Binary Ninja. So, for example, you were asking for the names of fields and structures in this very large function. And one of the very recent changes that hasn't yet been pushed out yet, but will be relatively soon, is we're able to analyze these different scenarios and then choose appropriate models that are better able to handle some situations rather than others. And the net effect of that, which you can kind of see off screen, is we basically get everything, all the fields.
I wish
and
I had a way
structures.
I could show you put it on the camera or something, but yeah.
But the main point really that I just wanted to bring up is that there's just going to be a sort of a continuous rhythm of improvements.
Yeah, one nice thing is there are some improvements that we can make on the back end without having to without the clients, the users on the plugin side being aware of them, so that it's just better, doesn't require an update on their side. So that's one aspect in which our tempo can be somewhat just different. We have a question from somebody in the chat.
Yeah, so I see Sergey's asking about, I really want to do that. I'm going to go through the rest of the features just on this binary first and get that out of the way. But I'm absolutely going to go and look at one of those next. In particular, because I realized I forgot to point out, WinMain identification is actually another feature of this release. So we've actually added WinMain, automatic navigation on WinMain, and I haven't tried that recently. So that's something else that we should show off. So let's see. The next feature that I usually go to indexes next. Indexes are, and this is actually the most useful feature without a license, I would say, potentially, because this is really just kind of the indexer and the code inset map together let you, I like the way Tim explains this to me, where an index in the back of a book has some topics, and they have page numbers for each topic. So it might be the Crimean War, and in this book, the Crimean War appears on these pages. So that's the idea here, is that just these are offsets, these are locations, whether it's a function or a call to a function or IL instruction or string, any of these things that appear in a file. Here's where they appear. But what finds them is just code. And so the default one that runs is this high-level functions one, and there's no magic machine learning. This is just math and using the Bidget API. Although, what's the out degree? Like, what's the sort of intuitive understanding of what out degree means here too? I could use a better explanation of that. So I think you built this one, right, Tim?
Yeah, in terms of a call graph, the out degree just corresponds to the number of unique callees.
Okay, so
And it just tends to correspond with functions that are involved in, integrating a lot of different functionality or coordinating amongst a number of different functions. And so those tend to be interesting places to start.
so instead of like a whole lot of calls that maybe do the same function over and over, it's the uniqueness of the calls that are
Right.
happening.
Yeah,
that
there's an
makes a
integration and
difference. Okay.
coordination effort going on.
And then it's just sort of scaled, I guess, into this like arbitrary metric, but allows you to sort it and filter it.
Yeah, there's a threshold there that can be modified,
Yeah.
but it's just sort of set to what is generally a good value, because it varies based on the number of functions that you have. If you have a binary with 60 functions in a real small thing, or one with 60,000
You're
functions,
gonna have very different.
the
Yeah.
threshold, then how you calculate it has to be a little bit
We
different.
have a question from the chat, I think was probably good for you to answer, Tim. It says, will Sidekick also identify those structure alignments that are made and distinguish between them and actual members?
Structure alignments. I'm not sure I understand the question. Sidekick does have a non-commercial discount, Julia. It is not a student discount yet, but it is there is a commercial and a non-commercial pricing. If we do a separate student discount, it would not be 75% off. I think we would lose money on our some of the backend APIs we're having to pay for potentially, or we'd have to be careful about that. So we have not yet. And you can see the actual pricing here. There's the non-commercial versus the commercial. Yeah. So Tim, I'm not sure if that.
Are we getting clarification?
No, yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. Yeah. So Mad Source, when you may say structure alignments, I mean the whole idea is that it's supposed to be identifying as it's trying to identify the actual structures, but it is not a perfect recovery, much like decompilation itself is not.
So like
Padding and structures.
I think potentially having structures that overlap the same memory locations, where you're using a different a field name from one structure and a different field name from another structure that overlay on the same memory. Are we able to differentiate those typically?
We are. I don't think so. I think that, like, for example, we're not doing unions,
Right.
defining those.
Well, Bidget
presently.
itself doesn't have support for them really, so yeah,
Right.
it's a limitation.
So, and that's closely related to the question, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think also too, sometimes there's just some level of indeterminism where you might have two structures that are very close to each other, and then you're doing some offset from them, and it's unclear whether or not you're accessing a member of one structure versus the start of another structure.
Well, I mean, there's also, is something an array? Is it a structure? Is it, there's certain things that are completely ambiguous and undecidable from a reversing standpoint.
Yeah.
And they're arguably it's correct to just do pointer math and offsets. You're not wrong. That is what the CPU is doing. It's just not as useful.
Right. If you're trying to recover what the original source code looks like.
Yeah.
And
If you're
how
trying
it's
to want to match the original source code. So,
I would add that that I think that it's important to sort of see this as a, kind of a ripe field for a lot of growth. And so these types of capabilities that in the past have felt like they were sort of undecidable, they start to become more and more decidable because you're able to draw in evidence from different aspects of the binary, as well as bringing in outside information. And integrate all of that and make inferences with these language models.
Yeah, a good example being if the model has seen OpenSSL source code and OpenSSL is used and it knows enough context to recognize it, of course it can match up the same structure and the same type. So
Absolutely.
like there are, yeah, that's it. And then likewise, just in general, if it's seen enough code, I mean, at what point does that give it the information it needs to make better, to disambiguate these things which are otherwise, impossible to disambiguate.
So I think that questions that are of the form like, does Sidekick do such and such? It's important to know what it's able to do right now. I just want to add the additional context that things are moving very, very quickly.
It's not worse. Yeah.
Things are moving quickly, and things that aren't in the product right now probably will show up quickly.
Yeah, we have one quick question from the chat, which is there a plan basically for people to do offline standalone networks, basically on-premises deployment? It's on our roadmap, our product roadmap, but we haven't gotten there yet. So we first wanted to get our feature set and everything right for this particular deployment type.
Yeah, just full disclosure, we're using a variety of models, but we've already demonstrated that capability in-house with some accessible models that are advanced enough to be able to handle the types of prompts that we are using. And so we actually have an environment variable, Sidekick on-prem. If you set it to true, then it uses a sort of a different suite of models and provides the same kinds of capabilities. But it's not something that's in the productization phase yet.
Yeah, so we're testing it. It's on the roadmap. We want it to happen. Our sort of nominal goal is if it can be this year, that would be great. But we'll see what happens. And the other thing I've been telling a lot of people too is that we know there's customers that absolutely need it on-prem, and just for whatever reason, they can't use an online service. It makes total sense. But until we've got the quality, like we really want to make sure that it's as good. Like we're using whatever the best thing out there is, and when we've got the offline ones working to the same high quality degree, I think we want it as much as folks do to be able to throw on an enterprise module that does the same thing. Let me go on to the indexes now, because like that one was just an example of just Python code that ran. I'm a big fan of these other ones though, for example, like cryptography calls, and this one you'll see uses a separate set of the Sidekick APIs where it's doing some categorization. So it's actually able to filter and just say, find me all the symbols, find me all the things in the binary that have to do with cryptography. Find me all the ones that have to do with file I/O and like maybe network. It's a web server, so it should do probably file I/O, network I/O, and cryptography. Those all seem like things that, knowing this is a web server might be relevant. And so I can kick off all those. And that's going to, again, it's going to use the actual service to try to identify all of these things. And this is useful kind of on its own right. Like, there we go. Let's take a look at these. These LI debate. Okay, base 64 maybe is not actually encrypted. It says encode in this thing, and I can see how it absolutely would be a reasonable thing for something to guess. But maybe I look at this and say, no, actually, I don't think that's actually crypto. So again, much like the other views, I can remove that. I can say don't do that. Method key. I think it's using key here in this context of like like maybe a key value. Also, you notice it's going to continually request suggestions as and navigate around. That's a setting you can control that. You can make it only do it when you manually do it if you want, or you could just keep continually accepting them, because even a hotkey you can accept all the requests. Obviously SSL, so let's clear this one out. Let's remove that one. The rest of these though, there's obviously some OpenSSL being used, and there's a bunch of crypto stuff that looks like right to me. Those all look like very good. So that's useful on its own, and I can kind of go through. I want to see all the crypto, navigate and see where it's all used in this binary. But it becomes especially useful. Let me actually navigate back to my where was I? Connection state machine function, because I like the state around this one, and I can use the code insight map. And the code insight map, it starts as just a call graph, right? Like, so for people who've been asking for a binge of call graph, well, here you go. There are several plugins that will do it in the sidebar and some other ones, but it's essentially a call graph. But what makes this super interesting, and again, this functionality works offline just fine. You don't need the API, the service key. You can do this, and you can even add these indexes. And this is where it becomes super interesting. So show me all of the file IO and crypto between main and this connection state machine. And you'll notice the call depth of controlling the parent. So main is going to call into connection state, and then the connection state calls 2 levels down here, right? We're going, this is a good example. This particular function, FDQ append, didn't have any elements inside of it. There were no IL instructions, no strings or whatever reference that matched these things, but it itself looks like a file one, or maybe where it's calling that function that it called, log fail assert, for example, has a flush, and so that shows up as a file IO, right? So, oops, take me back to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Tim, you could
connection.
probably better describe some of the or like how that works exactly. But my gist of it was that traditionally when you look at a call graph, they're typically unwielding because you're looking at the entire program with the full call depth, and it's very hard to digest. So we tried to tackle that problem by actually controlling the depth of the call graph itself, so that you could really only focus on a proximity or like your locality of a function that you're looking at. But in addition to that, most call graphs, you either have just the name of the function that was called, or you have all of the instructions in it, in which case it can then become even more wieldy. But in addition to that, we tried to filter out a lot of that information by only focusing on the topics or the functionality or behavior that you're interested in looking in, so that you could very quickly get a handle of what the function is doing from a functional perspective, by including or excluding certain topics that you're interested in, and seeing how those sort of components or behaviors relate to one another.
Yeah, you're allowed to prune the call graph. You're allowed to explore to a call depth of 6, 7, 8, things that you would never think to do before with a normal call graph.
Because you're able to filter
you
these, yeah.
are pruning out all the functions that are not on the path and that have nothing to do with the topics that you're interested in.
Yeah, I say that it's, control flow graphs show you everything a function does. Call graphs show you relationships between functions. This is both and in between. It shows you some of the things inside of what that function's doing, but only the ones you cared about, only the topics you chose. And so I think that's super useful. And again, you can download Sidekick right now, and you can be playing with that. So I think that's
we had a question
nice.
from somebody in the chat where does this require symbols or functions that are basically strip the binary to find these types of calls. In order to find the types of calls, we rely on the names of those functions that are called in order to do the classification as to what type of category at least our index scripts do that.
Some of these, not some of them don't. There are other indexes that don't require it, right?
Yeah, this is just an initial, and this isn't all of them. I mean, if you search, it'll bring up different indexes, but this is an initial catalog of basically examples that are useful, but you can add your own. You can create your own indexers. And those can use patterns or basically any binge code at all to find whatever you would like to find, whether it relies on symbols or not.
I just had a good idea that I kind of want to go off script. Maybe we can, let me write it for this, and we'll see if we can find a separate Windows sample to try it on later. But yeah, one of the things we haven't shown yet that we're going to anyways is we want to show that you can write your own indexes. And so if I want to show an index that doesn't require names or symbols, something you might see a lot of in an obfuscated binary might be some XOR operations, right? And so if I want to add an index and try to find all of the places where there's an XOR happening, so let's actually create a new one. We're going to call this XOR finder. Find all XOR operations, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to write that natural language text and then have it write the code for me. I've literally never tried this. We'll see. I tried this exact prompt, so I'm curious what it'll do. But that looks spot on, right?
Yeah.
I think that might just work. So it's looking for any IL. I could rewrite this code to be a little bit more efficient. Maybe, for example, you can actually just do bv dot LLIL instructions right from the top here, and it goes straight into this. If I was nitpicking its code, but this looks about right to me. And so you can use the AI to generate this. But again, the point is, I could have just written this by hand as well. And I don't know if this will actually find anything in this. I don't know if this is a web server. I'm not sure if there is any crypto in it or not. So there's no XORs here. But I want to run this index on on an obfuscated Windows binary, and I might find some locations where it was using XOR. And so this is a good example where the categorization, specifically find all crypto things, is using the symbols that were so it's using our service to do the classification on the symbols, but this concept can apply. So Stephen, you can write your own indexes. In fact, actually, of these current ones, I think there's a couple other ones that I think we intend on putting in the.
You can actually kick yourself offline and then relaunch that window, and you can see exactly which ones are free.
Oh, that's actually, if I just click
Yep.
the offline button, right, it will do that.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you can, or you can just keep going.
Those would be ones that you've written yourself. If you're
Oh,
doing it
yeah,
for
yeah,
Right,
that's
right.
all.
No,
That's
yeah.
true. Yeah.
So there is there are some that don't require this filter inspection category and that symbol
Yep.
kind of magical. Here's a good example: dynamic allocations. This is a great example of one. No magic AI. It literally is just looking for these common allocators, and adding them. It's going to look for all the times it's an alloc kind of operation, right? That's another useful. In fact, this actually probably, I would expect to see some of these in this binary. So yeah, there's a bunch of allocs, right? Super useful. You could do the same one with freeze. You could pair those up. You could look for show me the call graph of just allocs and freeze if you want to kind of identify the flow of functions.
Yeah, you can modify that view right
So-
now. It's
Yeah, let's
That's
turn
available.
these off and let's go look for just dynamic allocations. So there we go. So there's actually no dynamic allocations in both main or connection state machine, which is super interesting. But we can see down some of these other functions, this is where the allocations happen. So yeah, that's and again, those don't require any of the kind of AI magic.
Yeah, so to answer his question, the ability to write your own index is something that is free. It does not require
The
subscription.
natural language, I give it a prompt and it produces it for me.
Yep,
that
that
requires
part.
a
The ability to
subscription.
auto-generate a script from your natural language description, that feature requires a subscription. And there are some indexers that we have written that we provide to you.
if you have a
If
subscription.
If you have a subscription.
So it's consistent.
Using-
There. It's not that you're not gonna stumble upon one
Right,
just using it for free that
Yeah.
you can't then run.
correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. That's good.
There we go. Yeah. So now I want to go try that XOR finder on a piece of malware. So let's keep going through the list here. So again, just this alone, this custom call graph, being able to turn on these indexes, just I think that's fantastic, and I'm super excited that that's part of the free offering of it. That people get to play with that even without all the AI stuff. I think that's really cool. Again, we wanted to make that part available. While still, having these kind of extra bonus features that can really take advantage of it even more with the service. So, is there anything else on the? Create a component. Tell me about so I mentioned earlier, some of these things kind of can go back and forth. Like the components can be used for structures. I can use the code inset map then to create a component of all of the functions I found, or is it based on? Actually, I haven't seen that one before, so I'm not sure.
Actually, yeah, Tim, I don't quite remember how that one works, if you recall. If it grabs all of the functions that are represented inside the map.
Oh, there it is. It's probably this one here. Create components for functions in the index. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of different things. We'll want to make sure that there's the documentation and there's the features that are very visible and sort of easy to use, very accessible. But we do have some that are a little bit more off the beaten path, if you will. So like creating a component for all of the functions that are on the code insight map at that point in time is one of them, right? So you do that, and it should create a component that has all the functions that are present there. And then if you were to create a component for,
There we go.
yeah, and if you were to do one for the functions in the index, that's a little bit more of a complex operation that don't want to really explain at the moment. Because this is an introduction, and there's some depth to the product. I don't think that we're gonna go
Check
into
the docs
all
or
of
check
those.
yeah. There's a bunch of things that can happen here. And again, to me, it was important that, like, sort of philosophically, these things are like work well together.
Yeah.
As you get more symbols, for example, the summarization, the comment that adds can get better. The documentation gets more accurate. The more it's got good names and variables to kind of work with. And as you yourself manually reverse engineer and then ask it to do the namings, it will continue to get better. Like, it's all kind of like this. It's meant to be a positive feedback cycle, right?
Yeah.
And so
Incremental refinement.
yeah, that's important there. Okay, so we've got the code insight map. I haven't shown documentation, and we haven't shown the notebook yet. So let's, which one do you guys want to do next?
Do documentation, because once you do the notebook, there's a feature within the notebook that will allow you that tags on to the documentation.
Cool. All right. So I've asked for documentation. Again, this was a fairly large function. Like I said, it was around, I think, 700 lines of decompilation, several thousand bytes of native machine code. Not massive though, right? Again, to be clear, like this, the very, very large functions can be, oh, interesting. There's the errors. That's really nice. I don't think I've noticed that one before. Yeah, so it's describing the different types of errors that function can have, side effects it has, just the sort of return. So it's kind of like a man page, kind of like a function summary. But I like this feature, right? You can come in here and edit it. You've got a little markdown editor. And again, this is one of those that works offline, where you can, virtual cycle. Thank you, JDuck. This is just kind of another useful little notebook thing. The fact that you can add your own information, you can say that and keep your notes per function. Then once you've done that, too, if you're back doing disassembly, you'll notice that there's an icon there. So it just lets you know that there's documentation for that function. Or again, if you've split it and you leave one of these in documentation view, just as you navigate around, right, you'll see that just automatically up. And it's nice with the splits and the panes.
Yeah, actually, I would say if you
there's
leave
some
that.
variation, I guess, too. I think people should generally, understand if they don't already that, there's going to be non-determinism with the information that you're getting. So partly because, the models aren't always going to get it right the first time. And if you don't allow for any non-determinism, then, if you want to try it again, you're just going to get the same result, which would be unhelpful. So for example, if you were to generate documentation again, you might say, man, this description was a little Spartan. Maybe you can help me out a little bit more. Then you can regenerate, and the next output hopefully will be more helpful, more to your liking, and so forth. Same thing with the suggestions that we started out with. It will suggest names for variables, and you might say, man, this set of variables, I just don't feel like it's great. It's not perfect, whatever. Let me clear those out and resuggest some names for variables, and you get different ones. And so you might say, man, I really like the way you interpreted it this time. That seems spot on. And then you can accept it. So that's one thing to keep in mind as you use a product that is based off of these models. Yeah, so as you see now, the description is different.
Yeah, much
more
larger.
Yep.
But we missed maybe some of the errors that we saw before, or maybe they got summarized differently. So
there is the capability to actually preserve information inside of the documentation view, so that when you go to generate it using Sidekick again, it won't overwrite it. It'll just
interesting. So if I have some user notes in here, if I go put in another,
there's a special section there called an addendum, which isn't currently in there, but we'll be able to show off that feature when you go off
the notebook.
When you do the notebook.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and do the notebook now. And this is I think this is in some ways what people think of more when they think of a chat AI assistant, right? Like it looks and feels a little bit like that. You've got your kind of thing here. Except I like, notice that the current location here, this context is in the system as well. It's not just not only in this function, but like where I am in this function. That extra information is kind of available. So like I don't know what's a good question here I could ask.
Let me suggest a couple of things.
Please do.
On the fly.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will lead us to a positive score. But start with a slightly smaller function.
Yeah.
And try using something other than high-level IL.
Oh, interesting. All right, let's go. Let's look for something. Connection accept.
That seems like a decent
That's
size.
pretty.
Because not everybody wants, I mean, there's different times where you might be using high-level IL, but
Yep.
you might not. You need to drop down. So what's important when you're using the notebook is that it knows what you're looking at. And that way, when it analyzes your questions, it's going to answer them in reference to the IL view that you're working with.
All right, so we've got low level IL, we've got medium level IL.
Hey, you even go to disassembly.
Disassembly.
Just
Yeah.
go to assembly. I think a lot of people are more familiar with that. So, oh no, I see an XOR. Did we miss that before? No, because it's in low level IL. Maybe there was a bug in that code actually. I have to go back and read that index again to see if it didn't find it. So let's ask how many arguments does accept take? I don't know. I'm not very good at coming up with some of these questions on the fly. And actually it's accept 4, so we'll see if it's forgiving enough to recognize that. Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, so we got that. Even though I asked it at the low level of IL.
One thing to point out is that the notebook tells you what information that it's using as
Oh
well.
yeah, disassembly at right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And each message in this chat or this notebook is tied to the address that you were at when you
made
asked
it,
the
yeah.
question. So in some sense, it's like a transcript and one where you can sort of follow along in the binary.
Yeah, which means that if you click one of those messages in your chat history, it'll take you to where you
Oh,
were
interesting.
at when you sent
Yeah,
that
So if
command.
I'm here, but then I actually come back to here,
Yep,
yeah, it takes me
Takes
right
you back
to
there.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting too. I hadn't actually seen that before.
Now for the documentation bit, if you right click on the message that came back.
Should I generate some documentation first, or just keep it?
Sure, go
Yeah,
ahead.
Yeah.
So let's ask it for its connection accept, which I expect to be not nearly as. I'm just looking. It's interesting that connection accept does take that same connection struct as the first arg that we saw in the state machine one, which makes sense.
It was probably part of the same component.
Yeah, it was. That's how I picked it, because I wanted something that was related, and it was also in that component. So we're generating documentation, and you can, by the way, the very bottom right, wait, you said earlier when I was going offline online, that's its thinking indicator,
There
so
we
you
go.
can tell it's still going down there.
Yeah, so we have this nice description, but if you wanted to record something about the function that you had asked, then you right click on that guy right there.
Yeah,
It's
there
the
we go.
append to documentation.
Yeah.
Now we have a little addendum, and there's
with,
also a
with
link
the
there.
offset, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, same thing.
That'll take you there. And if you
add
try
it
to
to it.
regenerate the documentation for this thing,
It'll leave the addendum.
it'll leave the addendum.
Yeah.
Yep.
So as a user, oh yeah, someone else suggested sudo C. Absolutely, it'll obviously work on sudo
And there
C.
it is.
Interestingly, sudo C. Oh, just because there's a lot of nesting on these, so a lot of the new lines and braces. String white is so like sudo C is actually about the same total number of lines as the disassembly, which is unusual. Usually it's much more concise. It's actually a little bit more. Certainly more readable though, I think, as a higher level language,
Yeah.
but
I mean, we've got so many things. I don't know what people are interested
I know.
in.
Yeah.
you
Well, and we're running low. We've already been going for over 2 hours now, so
I mean, you can select a little block of code, and you can hit the
Yeah,
Shift C, and you get
the summarize.
well, you just get a little block comment, right?
So
That's
requesting
really,
code comment, yeah, which is that in the plugin
there you go.
here as well as, yeah.
There it went.
So it's and the fact that it's duplicated is a Binja bug, is because Binja does comments on addresses that can be repeated. There we go. So it's summarized the switch statement. Yeah, if it matches these values, it goes there. Yeah, you get inline, and then the function summarization as well up here was one of the things that was suggested before on the connection state machine. Oh, that's funny. It's right below it or right above it. I didn't realize that. So that's okay. Yeah, documentation notebook. I think that's yeah. Again, not exhaustive. There's other features. There's a lot of other things it can do. And the documentation is online, right? So people can go here if they want to see more. There's a lot
The
more
user's
information
guide.
in there.
Yeah, one thing to I think highlight too, because I think it points in the direction of where things are going for Sidekick more than some of the other features, which are just use them, interact with them as a user. And that is the function naming. So actually, if you were to go to the high level index, the sidebar. This will just be for something to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a binary without symbols, you're going to have high-level functions, right? And it's just going to be sub_hex address.
Yeah, there's more
You're
of
going to be
these.
like, what am I dealing with? So in that menu bar, where that little hamburger is, you can say, name the functions in this index. And what happens is it actually does a bottom-up analysis of the binary, naming functions until it gets up to the functions in your index to give them an indication of what the functionality is, and it names them all accordingly.
This actually answers a little bit of Sergey's question from earlier. I was going to show off on a Windows binary. Like, what if you don't have any symbols? Like, well, here's a great example of what you can do.
And so, one of the reasons why you start from the bottom up is because a lot of your leaf functions are going to give you more clues, right? You're going to be interacting with the environment, with the system. And so those are important clues that we can use and propagate up the call graph so that when you're trying to name the functions in your high-level index, you're doing it in some ways based on an aggregation of all the clues that are available in the binary.
And the other thing to point out is even if unless a binary is both, statically compiled and has no symbols, the imports alone oftentimes will give you useful symbols enough, right? Like, in fact, we can even see here on this particular one, even if none of the built-in functions had symbols, we didn't have this or this, we'd still have these. We'd still have the OpenSSL imports, right? Which still gives us a lot of this context. That would all those orange symbols would still be here. And so it's certainly possible that you can recover useful, interesting names from that alone. But yeah, but again, the less information you have, generally the harder the problem is, for sure. I hadn't seen the name function one. That's nice. Or the name functions in index. Yeah, there's always new ones to find. You can have common sets of these indexing suites. Like if you have a bunch that you commonly use, you can kind of bundle them up. Yeah, there's favorites in them. There's a whole bunch of other things, like I said, that we haven't kind of covered. Let me see if I can find. I was trying to find a good Windows malware sample. I don't know if I have one.
Yeah, while you do that, I'll answer one of the questions in the chat.
Perfect.
One of the questions was, do the type names and member names it references, this is in the documentation review, update when you rename the types in the normal view? And currently they don't.
That is on our to-do list.
Yep. Yeah, we discussed that when we were developing the feature, so it is on the roadmap.
Does it use strings for naming as well? Yeah, I believe that's like it, right? In fact, I've seen it pull out like names from a function because there's in fact it's a great source of
I mean, if you have an
names, right?
assertion statement that tells you, and actually this is kind of an interesting thing, just sort of a side note, like I was working with a binary and it had these assertion statements which were giving names to the parameters of a function, and I didn't agree with the programmer. I thought that his name was a little bit short, and so I didn't accept the suggestion that came out from the model, because the model's like, well, this is clearly what it was called in the original source code. This is what it should be. So I changed the name in Binja. I just, hit N, named the variable or whatever. Sidekick picks up on the fact that you chose a different name than the one that it suggested. So then when I went to analyze other functions that were related, instead of using the name that was in the assertion statement, it recognized that I preferred something different and generated, the name that I had chosen.
Yeah. There was another request. Can you inline the addendum or link to the addendum from a section of the documentation? And right now, I think that is a no. It's just at the end that you can, that information is put, but it's a feature that we might consider doing. Do you use something like flirt signatures to detect functions? And also, do you have something similar to how Lumina works that IDA has?
So no, there is not currently a Lumina-like feature that we are building. However, there are Binary Ninja plugins that will work with the free and open source Lumina servers that are out there.
Yeah.
So you can use the existing, technically you probably could use IDAs, I suppose, if you wanted with it, but you think you need a valid hex-raised serial number to go with that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if what their terms of service are on it, so I'm not advocating for it, but there is a plugin that will speak the Lumina protocol that can talk to Binary Ninja.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like Kyle said that too. I mixed that.
Yes, and there's also we have our own built-in system called Signature Kit, which is the same as or similar to Flirt and functionality. There's also a plugin called Nampa in the plugin manager that will literally use Flirt rules specifically in Binary Ninja. So it's meant to actually work with if you have an existing database of, I guess it's technically, is it Flare is the Flare generated sig files. Flare is the component I think that makes the signatures. So I am pulling up aimbot from Flare-on because I thought of something that would have and I'm trying to figure out something is wrong with that XOR script and I can't tell what's wrong with it because it looks right to me. Okay, no, that makes sense in high level IL, but what about low level IL? Oh, no, hold on, is that right? Sorry, I'm easily nerd sniped, and now I'm looking for
the XOR operation, the
it's on
low-level
business
operation.
one. Yeah. Okay. So this is it. So,
Oh, I see.
the source. That's right. That's why it's not coming up.
Okay.
So let's actually try this. Go back to our indexer, and let's add. Let's actually create a new one. I wonder if I can tell it to like it's got to deal with the tree structure. See if that works. There is actually a visitor class built into the API now that I can never get the syntax right on. Oh, and it's trying to use it. Yeah, I recognize this. So it's using the visitor. I have to go look at the docs on it. All right. I don't know. So let's see if this works. Is it still running or did it already?
It finished, but didn't find anything.
Finish and didn't find anything. Okay, so there's still a bug in this. It's oh no, am I in the wrong one? Oh, I think I didn't hit save. I've done this before. Hold on, let me remove this one. Yeah, okay, so actually no, I can just add
Click
this one
and then
now.
add.
It's
Yep,
there.
yep.
Okay, yeah, just add that one. Oh, yeah, there
It
we go.
did.
Perfect. That was perfect then. So yeah, there's a good example. I don't know that API off the top of my head either, so I'd have to go look that up. So that's great. But again, I did have to prompt it a little bit. I did have to go kind of look at it and be like, I think there's XORs in here. So no symbols in this binary, but I've already identified the XORs. And actually, the full register with XORs I'm less interested in. I feel like you're more likely to see something interesting with these. I'm just out of curiosity. Yeah. So actually, I'm wondering if anybody in chat has actually done this particular this flare-on challenge, or if they have a different malware sample or a different challenge from there. There might be one. But this would be a nice, easy way to just find really quick, simple obfuscators, right, with fixed XORs, which I don't think is as common anymore. But even this, just being able to kind of go through it, use that as an indexer. Or, okay, like let's go look at all of the call graphs. Let's look at the code, and so let's go back to the code insight map, and let's turn on that XOR finder. Show me high-level IO functions. So that alone, again, now we're looking at the call graph. Oh, it's really mostly occurs in this function. That's very interesting, actually.
Did you increase your call depth?
I didn't. Yeah, let's crank that up a little bit. Yeah.
It just shows you what's in between in that case.
Right. So that really is it. That's super interesting, right? So it's something that I think is not at all immediately obvious just by like looking through all the decompilation. Or
if you go back to your index sidebar,
yeah,
you can see how many functions the entries are covered.
2 entries, 2 functions.
Yep.
Right. So there's only sorry, it's high level there. 9 functions.
Yep.
So there's only 9 functions with any of these. So that means there are there's some other ones that are not
They may
in this
be,
part of the call tree, right?
Right.
Yep.
So that's interesting too. Like it's kind of partitioning up the whole binary. But like I do like that this one function here, right, clearly has the majority of the XORs. We're missing some structures, right? There's some
Actually,
math going on. Maybe
one of our chat users is curious to see structure recovery perform on this binary.
Oh well, I mean here. That's the first thing it wants to do. So let's do it. Let's look at this particular function. I mean, it's already cleaner.
You can try to give it names as well.
Just hit the plus sign, see what happens.
Yeah.
The plus sign.
Sorry, in the suggestion sidebar.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I always hit the drop down. Thank you. It's much faster. That's why it's good user study to watch somebody else use your software. See, okay, here's a good example where these are not as useful names anymore, right? So that I would reject all of. So that one I don't think was a good suggestion. But the struct that it's named from, and it kind of makes sense. There's not a lot of context here. It's just a bunch of XORs. There's no other function calls.
So let's try something adventurous. Let's go to the notebook.
Oh yeah.
And ask it if it can tell you what this is doing.
I'm curious.
Yes, Pasta, you can absolutely do that. If you go to the type viewer, and then you can create types from C source. You can paste stuff in. You can also just import a header file. I think it's import header file, and you can point it at any header file. In fact, it uses Clang to do the parsing, so any Clang build options, whatever, if it's got compiler defines and all that stuff, you can do all that. You can import all those types from there. Where were we? We were back on notebook. Thank you. Sorry. Bitwise XOR operations. The values derived from arg2. Swapping and shuffling. Oh, interesting.
Huh. I wonder if that's true.
AES. Oh, hold on. I think this binary did do something with AES, I think. This was which one was this? Aimbot was Flare-on 4. I have to go read a write-up. Now I'm curious. Is this so? There's actually another plugin called Cryptoscan. that specifically looks for certain constants that are used in different encryption operations. You can see it supports, for example, the constants used in AES. So I'm going to install that plugin. I don't know why plugin was disabled by default. Something's up with my test box here. And I think it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't open up by default. So I'm gonna save a database and reopen it. And I think now if I scan for crypto, let's let this plugin run. And if it finds AES, then that's certainly a pretty good feather in the... And again, you'll notice I reloaded the whole thing, and all of this context is still saved in the database too, right? I didn't lose my conversation, and kind of even where I was, all that stuff matched. Is this snare in the plugin, or is this something else? Something else.
Somebody in the chat was asking,
Familiar.
is it possible to do auto structure recovery on the main function in that one binary, and then the SEH structured setup function, and show the results in pseudo-C? I guess they're curious to see how well that structure recovery would perform on those functions.
In the aimbot function, or
the aimbot, or is that the one that you had before?
Well, the light HTTPD was the first one.
No, it was the second one.
Then,
Yeah.
Okay, this Windows one. Yeah. Let's see. Where is this actually one? I don't think
Where's
we had.
main?
No, we did identify main. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we can let the crypto plugin keep going. Oh, so this is being GW. Interesting.
Oh, okay.
So that actually explains why we didn't get like a win main, because I don't think we've tested that on MingGW, but that is the... So where's the start? But no, this must be just... Is this a symbol?
Curious to see if high-level functions would potentially identify it. The index or high-level functions.
Oh,
WinMain.
sure. Let's go check it.
I wonder if either one of those are it.
No, I don't think so, because the actual women. Good point. It's probably one of these. I know these are all just pointers. Is it probably this then? Yeah, I wish it was you working with a binary that I'd actually used before, so I had a little more context. But the Cryptoscan is not the fastest plugin, which, by the way,
Was the status there saying that's 25% through?
yeah. If somebody wants to rewrite
Somebody-
that in Rust, it would be it's a Python plugin right now, so it's not. And this is not the biggest binary, right? Like, how big is this thing? Oh, I guess. I mean, okay, so it's that's large. That's very large.
The
Then.
person in chat realizes that it was not MSVC, and that it was MinGW, and they're like, oh.
Yeah,
well.
so I don't think that's gonna be useful. Yeah, it's a big file, but most of it is actually it's clearly compressed, right? It's got like an unpacker or something. Which again, I'm pretty confident that's the function we already found. That index or the XOR finder.
Yeah.
Where was it? Right here, right? No.
Maybe your notebook? Or
Yeah.
Thank
maybe
you.
your
Notebook is a
notebook.
better way to look for it. Just go back here. I'm not even used to it yet. Yeah. This one here is really interesting because this here, where it's just doing a bunch of bitwise XORs. Yeah, that doesn't feel like normal code. This very much feels like,
An unpacker stub.
yeah. Which comes from a struct second member. All right, I'm gonna keep myself from getting too sidetracked because I will sit and reverse this all day. But no, and I mean I picked that binary, so that's my fault for not finding something else potentially. But yeah, we also I think are planning on giving out some free credits at some point with Sidekick, correct? I don't think we figured out specifics, but so for people that are curious, also Sergey, I'll send you a thing to eval. You're welcome to kind of play with it. It's very fresh, so be gentle. But I'll like I said, you can install the plugin right now just from the plugin manager, and we can send you some stuff to try out. Because yeah, you'll have much better things to think of to try it on than I would even. But yeah, that's Sidekick. We said one more thing. It was like 8 more things, but it's
Yeah, there's a lot of features in the product, and we're very excited about it, even to have gotten to this point. So if you like what you see, then if you haven't already signed up for an account, like I said, go to sidekick.binary.ninja. There's a link to it from the main page of the Binary Ninja website as well. And then you can go create an account.
Get on the wait list.
Get on the
And
wait
again,
list.
install the plugin now. Check out the plugin.
Yep.
Play with the indexes. Play with the code inside map. Play with all that stuff. Ah, Duncan is on.
Yep, and in the coming days and weeks, we will be expanding our user base for signing up for plans more and more. So
Yep.
if you don't get it immediately, wait. You will be soon, hopefully.
Will structures that use types from NTDLL be applied to these structure members automatically?
If I understand the question correctly, if Binja has already determined the type for a variable, for example, then Sidekick uses that.
Yeah.
It doesn't ignore that information.
I think it's a solid maybe, because if if we have already identified function calls that have no types and our type libraries have already got it, if the type propagation has that link, then yes. But that said, there may be times where, it's layers of indirection and our data flow doesn't track it, and Sidekick may or may not at that point. So it can.
Yeah, and again, lots of improvements to make. We're definitely, version 1, and we expect lots of new things. For example, incorporating types information when we're trying to recover structures in other parts of the code.
Yeah.
That's additional context that we can draw on.
And then I think there's been a couple of, the questions like Flirt and Flare and Lumina. And one of the things that we've been debating a lot internally is how much do we try to solve those type of problems with things like Flirt and Flare and Lumina, and how much do we try to solve them with something like Sidekick? Because I think there's a place for both technologies to kind of coexist and work together. And so, we're also looking into things like, automatically, as Tim was saying, earlier, where we want to take it, where it even recovers some of those things that are ambiguous. Likewise for things like, can we use it to identify static libraries, right? Right now, the state of the art is you have compiled a version of that library for that platform, and you got it working right, which by the way is a real pain. Like, so just because you have, like, for example, a .so or something, and then you've got another version that's statically compiled with it, it's not the same thing. So to actually get good symbols is a real headache. But you have to have exactly matched it, right? That compiler and that thing. And so that kind of technology is very brittle. But when it works, it's great. And so how do we use something like Sidekick to try to solve that problem, I think, a little bit better? Could you train a network to identify functions a la machine learning? That's been, yes, by the way, it looks like the plugin did eventually finish, and it does see the AES S boxes right here. Oh, yeah. So kudos on the notebook. I think like that function I just said, I see a bunch of XOR, and it actually says that looks like the mixed column step of AES. I think it was right. So no symbols at all, and it correctly identified the crypto manipulations. So that's, yay, good job. Yeah, that's a good one. So back to the function identification. Lots of people have tried that, and yeah, I think there's I think that's a possibility, but I think there's a lot of questions in terms of like where you do that. Do you do that on machine code? Like a lot of people literally just fed in a bunch of bytes and been like, figure it out. Some people feed in disassembly. Some people feed, there's I think there's a place for both heuristics and for like, machine learning to solve that problem. So all right, well, that was a long day, man. I can't believe. Thank you everybody for hanging out. And go back to the wide cameras here. So are we still working? Yeah, thanks everybody that that hung out. I apologize if we missed a question. I wasn't watching chat as much as I normally am on this stream. So feel free to hopefully the other Vectorites, Vector 35 people that were in the chat answered anything that we missed. But if we missed something, hop on our Slack or go to binary.ninja in a browser. We've got like a chat box. You can ask stuff there if we missed it, if we got anything else. But yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out. And we look forward to, like I said, so timeline we mentioned earlier, it's about a month, February 21st. Somebody pointed out is the official launch date for 4.0, but you can already get, again, half these features are already testable on dev and the other half will be there in the next week or two. So you can get them early if you want to try Dev Branch. You can install those kind of side by side. And yeah, we look forward to it. Cool. All right, everybody, have a good weekend and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.